to another episode of the Critical Critiques.
Classical
back
isekai
again.
time.
Classical isekai time. We're going back to the roots once again.
We are in November, so
returned.
no more sexy videos.
No more nutting. Yes, no more nutting. We've done the incel arc, right? We've done the free incel porn related videos, I guess. That arc is over. No more. No, we are no longer horny. We wish to be happy.
Well, Naretsu, I don't know if this video will make us happy though.
No. If anything, we're going to have to deconstruct it. We're going to have to deconstructing the deconstruction, right? We're going to.
Yeah, I did look it up, Naretsu. I have been cheating. I have looked up the definition of metamodern, and because I never heard of it. It's not like my old crusty books will tell me what metamodern is. That French guy that's invented the postmodern isn't going to start writing about, oh yeah, in 60 years, then metamodern will appear.
Yeah, the metamodern. Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna be doing. It's gonna be a fun one. It's gonna be a fun one because I haven't done a classic style video in a while. So yeah, I haven't watched ReZero yet though, so that's gonna be a problem.
I feel
because I still haven't gotten around to that. Still haven't gotten around to it.
I haven't gotten to any other show than Dandadan, even the shows that
real
life people have recommended to me. Hey, go watch Shogun. You know, that actual show.
I hear that there's apparently some show about a slime girl that's quite funny this season. I heard from someone.
I remember some manga panels about a semi-slime girl. Is she like purplish?
Something about the guy makes a slime, and then he gets the slime girl, and it starts funny shenanigans. Yeah, pretty. Yeah. So maybe I need to go back and have a look at the seasonal thing and see if there was anything that I was like, I do have
to admit, honest. I only really see any hype for Dandadan. I don't really see any other shows being talked about.
They're really like I've seen some stuff about what was it, the Demon Lord in the future or whatever.
Yeah, but it's only because the VTubers
because that had like VTubers in it. It was like some VTuber stuff in that. I've seen some stuff from that. Like I haven't seen a whole lot of other stuff.
Yeah, but to be honest, Naretsu, I am so busy finally finishing up my translation. I haven't watched anything else. I haven't even played a game. I look at my Steam, and the last thing that I opened up was OBS. When I was just before starting OBS up, I saw the last thing that I opened up was OBS. So I haven't even played a single Steam game this entire week. I haven't touched the last bit of the Zelda game on the Switch. Yeah, it's all just kind of meandering about watching that finance guy you recommended to me.
Yeah, so I got Ellie hooked on a financial audit, right? Who's basically a guy who sits down and he gets these people. It's an American show. It's an American show where he gets these guys, these people that sit down and they're in financial trouble, and he's trying to wake up call them basically to be like, hey, maybe you shouldn't buy $8,000 worth of Hogwarts Lego when you're in crippling financial debt. Maybe that's not a good idea.
With your car being impounded or repossessed or
your car has been repossessed. You've got fucking 30% interest credit cards on random bullshit. You're spending $300 on Pokemon Sleep, and fucking So I got Ellie hooked on
quitting without having another job ready, and then buying a house, thinking that some other guy would move in before any official agreement, and then the guy pulls out, and now you're left with a big house with a big rent or mortgage or whatever.
Didn't he do one on Boogie? I don't know if he did one on Boogie, but I've been watching more of the more recent ones.
Yeah, I just have a playlist with like 200 of these interview things, and they're all like an hour long at minimum. So they're excellent white noise. While I am doing my translation things, and when he says something interesting, maybe I'll look over. When I'm concentrating, I'll pause the guy and then resume.
I've been getting them in my shorts, and I've been posting them in a server that we're in. And one of the shorts was this guy who was spending like $100 or something on VR porn, and he's sitting there with his girlfriend right next to him.
I'll get to that interview eventually. It's like 200 of them.
Yeah. Oh, it's so funny because she's like. He has to explain. Oh yeah, I've been buying porn on the metaverse and the Meta Quest or whatever.
I've even just a good old Steam Open VR.
And he's like, and the guy's like, oh, what is it? What is it like? What is it? And he's like, oh, it's like POV, but it's like more extreme. And then he's like, well, don't what. You have your girlfriend right there. And she's like, yeah, you have your girlfriend right here. Yeah, the people on those videos, yeah, some of them are crazy. I was talking to Ellie before the stream about how like, I sometimes have to doubt if some of these people are real. Like some of them are that fucking crazy, where I'm just like, damn, holy shit. How can you be real?
Yeah, one of the guy, this is the last thing I'll say about this, right? I showed you. I shared the video of Naretsu, where the guy's just complete in control of all the finances, and the woman just has to ask permission to go to grocery shopping. And I'll spoil the video for you, Naretsu, and the people watching. It turns out the guy is just terrible with money. And because
it's the blind leading the blind, basically.
And because he's so terrible with money, he doesn't want her to be as terrible with money. Therefore, he will continue to manage the money.
That doesn't fucking make any sense, though.
So,
like, if he's bad with money, again, it's like the blind leading the blind, right?
Yeah, but he's so kind of he's the big man, and the women.
Oh, yeah.
Women don't worry, yeah. And there's also a semi-odd age dynamic. She was like married and in love at 19. And he was already 29, so she never had a credit card or loans or whatever. It's all in his name, in his finances.
Right, yeah.
So while the bad finance decisions continues, she goes, "Hey, let me see." And no, you're spending your money wrong. And then he hides his numbers. And then,
no, you can't.
No. It's not even kind of out of a shame I get from the video. It's, well, kind of also. But it's more of, no, I am the big man. I am the man in control.
Yeah, he's got some of that. What would the feminists call that? That toxic masculinity?
It's very much a toxic masculinity. To the point where the woman who who has not shown herself to be terrible with money is not allowed to be near the money, because if she's terrible. Oh no. Well, you're a guy. You already are horrendous.
I'm picking up a bit of insecurity, just a little bit of insecurity going on here. He's been a bit. Ooh.
And
but yeah, financial audit's fun. Yeah, financial audit's fun. It's a fun show. I've been enjoying watching some of them as background noises.
Yeah, don't ask me for specific of any one episode. They all blend together when I'm not actually watching it with my full attention.
Yeah. Oh well, I guess we should probably start getting ready to
with our own show.
We're going to deconstruct deconstructions of deconstructions to deconstruct the deconstructions. Yeah. So this was one that Ellie picked out. And other than the fact that it's about deconstructions, I don't.
Well, Naretsu, you're hyping yourself up a little bit too much, maybe. I just said
Maybe.
I saw the words deconstruction being used.
Yeah, and you got triggered.
Yeah, or
you saw the word deconstruction,
activated.
and the Kill Bill music started up.
I never actually watched Kill Bill.
It's good. Kill Bill's good.
Yeah, but I only really Kill Bill is good, but it's like in 2 parts. It kind of all right. Then I'll wait when the 2 parts are out, and then it's like 20 years later.
5 years later, and you don't care anymore.
No, yeah, or whatever how it went. It's a little bit. It's a lot of violence. I don't really care that much about that. It's not a big draw for me, and by the time, etc.
Well, anyway, it's time to deconstruct a can for Samu if he's around. Oh, got these new cans. Oh, whoa, that was a loud one. Oh, there we go.
It wasn't a snappy one. That was a very.
That wasn't a snappy one. Yeah, we didn't get a good hiss on that one. So I kind of got my mic weird a little bit. Hang on. I'm just gonna wipe the mic a little bit because it kind of cracked a little. So I'll be back in 1 second.
Oh, he's gone. Completely unrelated. I didn't mention it, I believe. I almost died at work. So what happened was that was a big heavy load.
Oh shit! You almost died. You got killed.
Yeah, almost. So I work in the factory, right? Big factory, big heavy loads being carried around on big cranes, etc., etc. So the load is being secured on the crane. The hooks are on. All right, I see the hooks are on. I gave the okay sign, and I walk across. La 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 la. So I'm waiting until the load is set down, so I can take samples because I'm the quality control, etc. And I watch, and it goes bang, 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 and the whole load just drops from the crane into the ground, into the floor, cratering the floor, denting the ceiling from below.
Oof.
Through reinforced concrete.
Oof.
It's like 20 tons of weight just falling off.
Damn, we might not have had a stream today. Holy shit.
Well, last week I didn't. 2 weeks ago by now.
We might not have had a stream last week. God, this might get a little bit. Yeah. Also, I muted the mic just so that I could.
Yeah, that's why I started talking.
Because I didn't want to assault everyone's ears with me wiping it down with my cloth. But like, imagine like that did kill you, and then how the fuck am I gonna know that killed you?
Never.
I'm gonna be sitting in the server waiting for you to show
Never.
back
I'll
up.
just disappear.
Just disappear.
Same goes for you, though, right?
It does, yeah. So it goes for me. You never know. I could get hit by a car or some shit. You never know. But anyway, let's show. Let me get my window open. So yeah, so the metamodern isekai. Why ReZero feels so different, right? Let's find out. Let's see what he's got to say.
I am very curious. Will he actually go into Shosetsu?
Let's see. Let's find out. Spoiler warning! ReZero seasons 1 and 2. Oh no! We're gonna get spoiled. I'm gonna get spoiled, Ellie. I'm gonna get spoiled. I haven't watched it yet. No, it's okay. But anyway, let's do.
When I first finished watching ReZero, I was blown away. There are so many things in the series I want to talk about, from its themes of identity and self-worth to gender roles and masculinity. There's a lot to unpack. But what I wanted to start with was one of the basic questions that hit me most after I finished the show. Why does ReZero feel so different? I'm by no means an expert in the isekai genre, but I've seen enough to know that ReZero is something special. It's a show where you see the bleakest outcomes possible, but also some of the most uplifting. Somehow it not only evades feeling cruel and nihilistic, but ends up deeply optimistic, despite everything it shows. Oftentimes it feels like an...
So yeah, he's gassing it up.
Yeah, I don't know.
speechless.
No, I credit myself as a kind of an isekai expert, as in so far as I read Wikipedia. makes me king of the blind by having one eye half open.
Smarter than the average beer. Yeah.
I have one eye half open, and that makes me god emperor again amongst these blinds. No, I am very much fear that he is not going to mention Sosetsu at all. That ReZero
probably not, because I mean, what he's kind of talking about is mostly probably just he's watched a few isekais and based on, because I can think of I mean, Overlord gets kind of fucking dark, especially when you're talking
Tanya the Evil.
Yeah, Tanya the Evil gets kind of, depending on what, because if you look at the opposite sides of the conflicts of those, right, where you have Ainz, but the last season of Overlord was Ainz massacring an entire fucking nation, just straight up fucking annihilating them completely. Characters that we've seen throughout the past seasons of Overlord get killed during that arc, right?
Yeah, Brains. That guy.
I mean, you had the blue-haired the swordsman guy.
That's Brains.
The king gets killed, obviously.
Yeah. Princess gets killed in her own way, but
she betrays. Yeah, but
her humanity is
same with the guy, right? The guy, they end up becoming demons,
But also something like Drifters, Drifters very much.
Yeah, Drifters, because I mean, Drifters starts with they have to save everyone from slavery and shit. The elves,
but also it's very much a war story more than a Naruto ReZero in that sense. But Spider Isekai, that's brutal and very.
Yeah. So I don't necessarily think that ReZero's optimism and whatnot is necessarily unique to it. Again, it's kind of hard when you haven't actually watched it to be able to kind of counter this kind of thing.
I watched the first season and a bit of the second. I know
Subaru
is very much falls into despair and then falls into despair 2 more times, and then alright, I know there is a path forward, and he goes full in on this one path forward because he's very desperate. And through the desperation and trying again and again, he succeeds eventually. And that is kind of the uplifting thing in that you can succeed. It's kind of also like a Mushoku Tensei in that sense, right? Rudy goes from from happy to oh no, I'm all the way on this other side.
Because Mushoku Tensei is probably a really good contrast to ReZero, because in that it's quite literally all about redemption, right? You're taking a guy who was, a fucking loser, essentially, right?
Mm-hmm.
essentially a loser and a failure in his past life, right? And putting him into a different environment, a new environment, giving him a second chance, and then he has to go through all of the pain and the suffering and all of the hard work and all of the stuff that he didn't necessarily do in his past life because he ended up taking the neat route, right? So I wouldn't necessarily say that ReZero is unique in this. I can understand him praising it, right? Because I do think that it's not like I'm going to say ReZero is bad, because it's obviously not bad, right?
No.
But I think he's gassing it up a bit, right? He's gassing it up.
I'm looking in my timeline for just the shows. Also something like Problem Children in Another World. The characters are in their own ways semi-overpowered in some ways. But hey, slavery, etc., and losing your home and whatnot, and not the parents and whatever. Also, I look at the list and go...
Big depression!
Also, bookworm. Big social classes. The poor must stay poor. The illiterates must stay illiterate. Can't give them can't let them read the Bible. That's bad news.
Yeah. If they read the Bible, then they'll get to know what's actually in the Bible. We can't have that.
Yeah, so it's all printing press having Bibles printed, but then let's simplify the stories a little bit. Oh no, that's heresy and whatever. I didn't watch it that far. I just know that the main girl gets kind of a position in the church and therefore gets very much involved in all the political church cardinals, popes, and bishop political plays. And it's not like that her position is very stable either. So,
right.
But it all works out in the end. So I can't really agree that ReZero is special in the. Every story has a big despair moment. There was the part in the hero's journey.
Did Rudy kidnap 2 girls? Yeah, well, yeah, he kidnapped the cat girls, but that was because of reasons. Watch the show. Watch the show.
I just want to say there's like this point in the hero's journey when all seems lost and then hope is found or whatever. Also, like isn't just this also in Lord of the Rings? Just Well,
I mean, a lot of stories. There's a reason it's a formula. So
yeah, but I'm just thinking when Frodo is saying no, the ring is mine, and all hope is lost at that moment, and then eventually reconciliation, etc., etc. Just to say, ReZero very good, but not necessarily super unique in that regard.
Yeah. All right, let's continue.
Eclectic mix of genres. How could something revolving around so much suffering be so sweet? How could I start the show cringing and cynically pointing out its tropes, and by the end, be so moved by the characters and feel depressed that I couldn't watch more of their misadventures?
So, Joshua, just watch. What should I continue to say? We're talking about different things right now. Anyway. So I kind of wanted to pause there more, not for that, but because I've noticed this very interesting thing around. I don't know if this guy's a Zoomer or what generation he is or whatever, but I've noticed this thing around younger people where tropes are like a big thing, right? Like you have people that will like. But basically, they go to like TV tropes or something like that, right? And they'll be like, "Oh, look, that's the trope." And then when they watch something like ReZero, right, they'll go, oh, "Ellie, look, it's the trope. They did the thing. I understood that trope. That's a trope. Trope is bad. I don't like trope. Trope. Ooh, they used the trope. Oh no, that's bad trope. But bad. Good. Oh look, good trope. That kind of thing, right?" There's this weird thing, because the way I've always like viewed like tropes and cliches and stuff like that is it's not like and I think I've probably mentioned this on one of these videos at some point in the past, but I view it as like a neutral thing, right? It's a tool in the writer's toolkit, right? And it's not about whether or not the trope exists. It's about how it's utilized in the telling of the story, right? Like you mentioned, like the hero's journey and the whole like, oh, hope is lost, and then the hope of we regained the hope via some magical bullshit or whatever, right? That is a trope, right? And heaps of stories have that trope. But it's not about whether or not that trope exists in the story. It's how it's executed within the narrative itself, right? Lord of the Rings, right, does it in the way that Lord of the Rings does it. ReZero does it in the way that ReZero does it. Like if ReZero does do it, right? Again, we haven't watched it, but right, just to use that as like an example, right? Like these two stories are different, right? These two stories are different, have the same trope, but you could argue one is better than the other because of how different they are. So I find the whole like, I recognize the trope and I think it's a bad trope. You shouldn't do bad tropes. Bad trope existing bad, right? I think it's very reductive, right? It's very reductive and not a really good way to kind of view stories, right?
So
I don't know if you got anything to add to that.
if it's, well, age doesn't really matter in this, right? If you have just learned about thing and then recognize thing in a thing you see or watch or read, then you go, oh look, it's the thing that I just learned about. I get that emotion, right? We all get.
Oh yeah, that's fine. Yeah, and that's not necessarily.
Oh no, I now know what anti-aliasing is. Oh look, that
I see anti-aliasing everywhere. Yeah.
So it's
That's fine. I'm not. Yeah, just to clarify, right? I'm not saying that. Like, that's not the thing I'm actually calling out. What I'm actually calling out is value judgments based on that, right? So if
that's kind of the issue where you immediately then, of course, without any further consideration, knowledge, do the big value judgment. I'm just saying that this video kind of strikes me of having learned that these tropes exist, or this story exists, and being very impressed or very oh no, I learned something. I have to tell everybody that I know in this YouTube video.
I have to share with the class.
Yeah, and of course when we're going to talk about Dandadan, I will have my interpretations that I very much want to share, even though it might be a very common interpretation. It's an it's a thing that I personally have thought of, and I personally think is cool. Therefore, I'm going to personally say to every person that I think it's cool.
Right.
And I get that kind of vibe in the video.
Yeah, but to kind of loop back around and then we'll keep going. Like tropes are neutral, right? Tropes are tools, right? They exist. People have recognized them as things that exist, right? And authors and creatives and artists and stuff can utilize those tropes in myriads of different ways, right? Like, what's the old saying? The bad artist blames his tools, right? Similar thing there, right? Similar thing there. If you can write a absolute dog shit story that's filled with horrible, maybe not horrible tropes, but it's filled with all the tropes and all the stuff. You can use all of the tropes, and your story will still be completely horrible and trash. Or if you understand those tropes and how to properly utilize those tools within your work, then you can create, ReZeros and Mushoku Tenseis and other works of art that might have tropes in them, but they're good, right?
I mean, was it something like show with many characters that are defined by one personality trait? Sayonara Setsubo Sensei, right? Most of the characters, all of the students, and basically every character is based out of a pun or a meaning on a character of their names. They are what they say they are. So the character that's called wife is a wife. The character that is called, precise is very precise, etc., etc. And it's all about how you put these characters next to other things that makes them interesting. Because a character that's precise, so you put them into a boring laboratory, of course, then he's just going to fit in without any friction or interest. But put them next to a messy situation, the precise character is going to fight the sloppy character, and then you have an interesting story and a conflict, and etc., etc.
Yeah, pretty much. Right. Let's rant about tropes aside. Let's continue.
That's because ReZero is metamodern.
Metamodern.
I've read the definition, but I'm curious about his definition now.
I'm curious what it is, because I have no fucking idea what that. Because I obviously know postmodern, right? I know postmodern, and I know that kind of stuff, but I've never heard metamodern before.
I also never heard of metamodern before. I saw the video, and of course I saw the thumbnail that says metamodern, so I looked up the term metamodern. Also, for my own sneaky interest, when was it kind of first conceived? Is it something like invented yesterday, or is it the actual thing?
I pulled it out of my ass the other day. Yeah, just this philosophical thing. Just rip it out. Blah. Anyway, let's continue. All right, here we go.
Up until recently, I called ReZero a deconstruction of isekai shows. It's a
yeah, we're gonna deconstruct the deconstruct. Well, let's let him go. Let's let him go because he's probably gonna get into what his definition is, and then we'll talk about deconstruction. So
commonly used, but
oh, here we go. Deconstruction, picking apart tropes or genres to reveal their failings. All right.
Often debated term that essentially means picking apart the tropes of a genre or story to showcase its flaws, the flaws of society, and to show how it would actually go if it were to happen.
So,
that's
Mr. Ellie, you're a big deconstruction man. You tell us if he's correct. Is this correct?
All right. This is the TV tropes deconstruction. There's a very nice video from Study of Swords channel.
Yeah. I think he was the guy that did that really long takedown of moons, I think.
Yeah. He also did that one.
Yeah. But he's pretty good. I liked him. I really
so he has a video on deconstruction, and the point is that he goes kind of through the entire history, and I will condense it kind of. The point is that deconstruction is invented by a guy that was going from, all right, you have a philosophical position, you have a philosophical view, I am going to deconstruct that thing.
Right.
And that's kind of what deconstruction is. Deconstructing a philosophical position of somebody else.
Right. So basically you take a position, maybe you agree with it, maybe you don't agree with it, and you try to kind of take it apart,
pick it apart,
figure out how it ticks. Yeah.
How it ticks, what it is, what it does, what it's based on, what it would do, if you pull to the extreme, what if you pull it to the to the center, what happens?
So I think an interesting kind of like bit here, right? And a question that I'll ask as a dumbass, right?
Yeah.
Is because in his definition, Video Man's definition, right? He says, it's specifically to reveal the failings, right?
Yeah.
So there's kind of this negative connotation to it. Would you argue that like deconstruction in the philosophical sense is always necessarily a thing that you do to try to reveal the failings in that philosophy, or would it just be a more neutral thing where it's like, you're not doing it necessarily just to find the flaws in it, but you could also be doing it to find, I don't know, the ways that it works, right? How what are the positives of this?
It is very much a very, very neutral thing. You might be more inclined to deconstruct something you don't agree with, to pick out the flaws, maybe even harder. But if you
that's kind of what I was thinking. Yeah.
But even if you want also to deconstruct something you agree with, to pick out the goodness, the virtues, the fundamental truths of the statement that we all live by. What is it in our core beliefs of humanity that makes it good? And then you deconstruct it, and then you pick out what is actually important out of it, and kind of maybe you can.
So this feels like yet another one of those instances where you have something from academia that kind of goes through like 5 different filters before it ends up in the layman's hands, and then once it's entered the layman's hands, they start using it like a fucking gun and just shooting people with it. That's what this, because that happens a lot, right? That happens a lot where it's like the academics will come up with some fancy academic-y type thing, right? And it works for academia, right? It works for them because they're deconstructing each other's ideas and their philosophies and their stuff, and they're doing all their fancy academic stuff to try and get to the bottom of things, right?
Yeah.
But then through the grapevine, right? It flows down the grapevine. It goes through the filters. It goes, look at this, da, 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 da. And then we get to this guy and his TV tropes definition of deconstruction, where it is literally just a deconstruction is to kind of like the way that I've seen it used online specifically is typically, you have a show like Evangelion, right? Evangelion gets called a deconstruction, or it used to a lot, right? Evangelion is deconstructing the mecha genre because it is, not like Gundam, and it's what if you had a mecha that was, what if mecha feelings? What if drama?
What if anxiety?
anxiety. What if alien robot, right? So I think a problem that a lot of people kind of get tripped up by is Evangelion is not a deconstruction. It was never made to be a deconstruction, and it was never set out to take the mecha genre and take it apart and figure out how it works and show the flaws and show the positives of it, right? Right? No, it wasn't made. Hideaki Anno did not make Eva to do that. He made Eva because, well, one, I mean, the point of Eva is, don't be a fucking hedgehog, right? But hedgehog's dilemma. Don't get obsessed with your hobbies and your shit and lock yourself off from real life, right? That was the actual point of Eva, right? But also he wanted to have a medium to show his cool Ultraman references. Have you ever seen that meme?
So
I fucking love that. I fucking love that meme. It's so funny, but it's like, and it's true too because he said it in interviews. Apparently, he's like, man, I put all these Ultraman references in Ava because I love Ultraman. I wonder if people are gonna see all my Ultraman references, and everyone's like, Christianity.
Yeah, etc.
But I'm sorry, I'm getting a bit off tangent here. Let me loop back around and make my point. I want to loop back and finish my point, and then I'll let you go. Right?
Oh yeah.
Because my point is like an online discourse, right? Deconstruction is often used when you have a show, right, that is in a genre like mecha or isekai or whatever genre, shoujo, shonen, whatever, and it does things differently to how the genre usually functions, right? That is usually when I see deconstruction getting tossed around, and I think that 99% of the time it is inaccurate. Right, I don't think most shows like ReZero, to loop it back to the video, then I'll hand it over to you. Right?
Yeah.
I don't think ReZero is a deconstruction of the isekai genre. I don't think it was made with the intent to take the tropes of isekai and turn them on their head and pick them apart and this what's the good things about this trope and the bad things about this trope, right? No. I think what's more likely the case is the author of ReZero was like, hey, I have a cool idea for a story. Let's do right? So anyway, I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, so the thing is, so where we're going a little bit in the direction of the TV tropes is that deconstruction is what I said is kind of specifically is what you do to somebody else's work. You don't write a deconstruction; you do a deconstruction on somebody on a work. And if you're writing,
that's a key point actually.
You're
quite right. Yeah,
where deconstruction as something it's as a deconstruction as something that you do to your own work doesn't come from philosophy at all. It comes from architecture and food, because in architecture you can deconstruct what you need, what a house is. You can play with rooms and room layout and all that stuff. There are things to deconstruct what it means is what a house is.
Sushi versus Pokeball, basically.
And in the food, it's what TV tropes definition it takes about deconstruction is very much comes from the food, the culinary angle, where it is what is food, Naretsu? Is food a pile of nutrients? Is it colors? Is it taste?
It's a bunch of calories and different chemicals.
But if you eat something that has the calories, the colors, and the taste, does the shape matter? What if it's an entirely different color but still tastes the same?
There's actually there's what's his name? There's a guy I follow a lot of foodie guys. I think his name is it's Ethan Klobowski. Cookwell with Ethan Kowalski. He has 2 channels. Cookwell's one of them, but he does a lot of like food science stuff when he does his recipe stuff, and he talks about like how important both the look of food and the human element is in cooking, because you can have like because it actually does affect the taste. The way something looks does actually affect it. There's like a psychological component to it.
Yeah, so
where,
imagine Naretsu...
like if you like let's say like if I cooked you a steak, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was like it looked like it was burnt to a crisp, right? It's black, right? You're gonna look at it and you're gonna go, man, that's gonna taste like charcoal in your head. And then when you eat it, it might not taste like charcoal, actually, but your brain is still like you're going to get some confusion, and you're going to be like, "What the fuck is what?" Right? And so, but then you could have like another steak that's like, "Oh wow, this looks perfect. It looks medium well, looks good." But I didn't season it, so it's got no salt in it, and it tastes like shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so there's there is like a human element to it where. Smell is also a really important one too, because like a lot of taste actually comes from smell.
Yeah.
So yeah. With food, deconstruction is a very
So imagine something like Naretsu. You make a food dish that is made differently with different ingredients and all that stuff, but you can just make it look like it and therefore taste like it. That's a deconstruction of what food is, what a dish is, what you're eating is.
Also, I found today's meme. I put it in the chat. I found today's meme. I knew I had it saved somewhere in my my meme folder. So while we were talking.
That this architecture and this culinary deconstruction is what is actually the basis of the TV tropes deconstruction, because that is actually about picking apart.
Is a taco a sandwich? That's an interesting fucking question.
And somewhere along the way, deconstruction is not even it's not even something you do for fun to kind of as to discover something. It is to actually just, I hate this, therefore I'm going to use it in my book, in my story.
Right.
And it is also, I mentioned this before, another point. How do you know when something is a deconstruction or not from the reader's perspective? Because this deconstruction is presumably done by the author. But imagine Naretsu.
Yeah.
I've never ever read an isekai before. ReZero is my very first one. How would I ever know when he is deconstructing something when this is my
It's
first
almost because I know,
experience?
because Konosuba is another one that gets the deconstruction label a lot, right? Like people say Konosuba is a deconstruction of isekai, and you're right. Like imagine someone who's like never ever like their first isekai is Konosuba, right? They've never watched any other isekai. They don't even know what the concept of isekai is. They just like they're on TV one day and they flip the channel and Konosuba's on television, and they're just watching the funny fantasy show with the explosion girl, right? To them, they're not gonna consider it a deconstruction. They don't give a shit, right? It's just the funny show with the thing.
Yeah.
It's almost. Yeah, so anyway, I posted the meme in the chat. There you go. You chuck it in the meme corner. We've got it. I'm going to nickname that space above us as the meme corner. We're going to call it the meme corner. We can put our memes up there when we feel like I feel like torturing Ellie and forcing him to
damn save image to desktop because then OBS.
I got a fun meme. I'm going to put it in the chat. You're going to have to do work. Oh, no. Oh, man. Anyway, I'm going to check the chat while you do that. Devil's Advocate is probably talking about genre, as Petitia says is. Yeah. We may have to put Gouda behind bars for that question. I mean, no, I think it's an interesting, because, is burger a sandwich, right? Sandwich is anything between two buns, right? Like, yeah. Oh, yeah, there we go. Like, that, you might have to make it bigger so people can read it.
Yeah, but it's kind of an unfortunate
Make it nice and big at least once so people can read it, and then we'll make it small and people can have a look. Yeah, make it nice, real. Yeah, I'm watching the stream. Yeah, make it real big. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, look at that. So it's basically the meme I was talking about with Arno, where it's like, wow, the Christian imagery in Evangelion really shows the nuances in religion and its cataclysmic effects on humanity. And you have Hideaki Anno being like, gosh, I sure do hope people like my cool Ultraman references. I think it's a really funny, like, example of, like, how would I put this?
Yeah,
like,
so
people
this
project.
is kind of
People project, right? People project, right? Where people see something and they start projecting their own, like, stuff onto it.
So,
whereas you have Arno here being like, yeah, no, I just wanted to put cool Ultraman references.
So this is kind of just the second. There's kind of two sides of this problem, right? ReZero is my very, very first isekai. I never heard the term, and I just see these things for the first time, and therefore I would never know it is a deconstruction. The other side is Naretsu. ReZero isn't the only one with with despair in its theming. Therefore, if you watch like 3 shows, and the first 2 are Konosuba and not Spider, something happier.
I don't know.
Give me happy isekai, Naretsu.
Happy isekai. I
Let's use slime. All right.
All right.
Or something like Zero and Tsukaima. I watched like 3 isekais before. I watched Zero and Tsukaima. I watched Slime, and I watched forgetting the first one I already said. Whatever. And I watched like the gay girl that says "fuck men, I'm going to marry a girl."
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
And suddenly I watched ReZero. I might think, oh, this is a deconstruction because this 4th isekai is very different from the others.
Yeah.
Therefore, it is deconstructing the other 3, ignoring that first. This was first a web novel. 2, there are a million other stories which are more or equally or more despairing or unhopeful as ReZero. So on both ends, first time if ReZero is your first isekai, you might not recognize it as deconstruction. If you have watched enough to know what a general isekai looks like, and then you watch ReZero, you might be so surprised by how different it is. You don't realize that there are a million others. So it's so dependent on your own view
personal
of what an isekai is.
Yeah.
To think you know what the author intended is so delusional.
It's very delusional, yeah. To kind of we'll address the chat and then we'll move on because I think we've deconstructed this discussion quite well. It's very the blue curtains thing is basically what that meme is essentially. Yeah, the curtains are fucking blue. Also, would you call The Boys a deconstruction under this view or One Punch Man?
Yeah, it would be.
The Boys is a weird one because from what I understand, because I haven't watched it, but from what I understand, it's completely deviated from the source material at this point, so it might as well not even be its own. I mean, it might as well be its own
but
thing.
Both of them are what if Superman is evil, so that's the deal.
Well, no, not really. No, One Punch Man is more like.
The Boys.
Yeah, The Boys is, but One Punch Man isn't. One Punch Man is more like. What if you had a guy who was literally like he could kill everything in one punch, and how does that like it's more comedic, right? It's more comedic, and it's more kind of like it's more about the people around him than it is about him necessarily.
Well, it's about man versus system or something. Man versus society.
I'm remembering like I think the second season is he's like really depressed because he can't because he always wins, right? Like he always wins, and so he doesn't actually get to fight anyone, and he's like trying to like deal with the fact that he can't
Superman
actually have a fight with people.
The main character instead of kind of a fake. What if Superman actually tried and therefore never lost or something?
No, you need to actually watch One Punch Man, because it is actually really good.
No, I've watched One Punch Man. I'm just saying, I'm talking about Superman. Superman is Superman, invincible, super strong, can do anything, but the story has him always lose for some reason. What if Superman just would kind of function as his powers would make you think
I don't know. I don't know if I would call it, because people say One Punch Man is like a deconstruction of Shonen, and it's like, I don't think it's a deconstruction of Shonen.
Now, I do want to pick out the blue curtains thing. The blue curtains thing isn't bad because the blue curtains thing is kind of used as people go too far with interpretations and without considering the author itself. That's the whole death of the author thing. Like,
we've gone over that before.
Sorry, author, what you say is not important anymore. It's what we make of it.
Yeah, we've gone over that before. So
and
anyway,
deconstruction is like king of death of the author because it just invents what the author thought.
Listen, Ali, we got to deconstruct some bitches with our dicks and get back to the. All right, let's go.
It's typically associated with postmodernism.
Oh man, big words, Ali. Big words. Postmodernism, modern movement critical of established narratives, truths, and sincerity.
That's not the definition of postmodern, but maybe you say more stuff.
That's not what that means.
Just like deconstruction, whatever. But he's going to say something about it, or?
Yeah, all right. Let's hear what he's going to say first.
Postmodernism is a movement critical of modernism before it, and because of that, it tends to be critical of established narratives, the idea of truth, and sincerity. Postmodern media often uses irony or parody to challenge established conventions. There's a lot more to it, but I want to...
Zero? I mean, Konosuba, postmodern.
You know my stance on irony, right? I am very much anti-irony. I'm fucking sick of postmodern. I wouldn't even call it postmodern. I just think it's irony poison, right? That's what I call it, where it's just non-stop. No one can be sincere, and he even brings up postmodernism being anti-sincerity, right? Like, I'm personally, I think people need to be more fucking sincere, right? We need to actually go back to a time where people could just be fucking honest with themselves about what they like, instead of this constant barrage of ironic bullshit, right? Oh, look at me! I like the trash. I'm so trash. Oh, I love trash. Oh, right? Like, I'm tired of it. I think it's fucking annoying. Just admit you like shit, right? It's okay to like things. That's why Blue Archive is great. Exactly, Gouda. Because Blue Archive's not fucking ironic, you know? It's like, it's but anyway, have you got anything to say about the postmodern stuff?
I want to read the definition because I read this was just before stream, right? So background. The big French guy that kind of invented postmodernism as a thing that we kind of know as today, wrote a book that says, I am now inventing postmodernism. And it's a very neat book, but the actual interesting part is like chapter -1, because in chapter -1 the editors and the translators come in and write, this is what he's actually talking about. There was this big conflict in philosophy, and when he's talking about, oh yeah, I'm fighting like 50 people, he's talking about the big conflict that he has right now.
No, he's not, Ellie. He's literally fighting 50 people as he's writing the book. He's got the book in his hand, and he's kicking. Now, he's roundhouse kicking 50 people while he's
2024. So the book itself is kind of meandering and kind of vague, but kind of forgive him. He's inventing postmodernism as he's writing it. But the chapter -1 is just explaining the historical context and also kind of what happened afterwards and what the clarification is and more context and all that, what So chapter -1 was very informative. The following chapters slightly less so. So I have read postmodernism and what it kind of was born out of, and I'm kind of more. I want to hear him finish before I start talking a lot about.
Okay, well then let's continue then.
Keep things brief. Postmodernism has become a bit controversial because this line of thinking often leads to embracing apathy or nihilism. Everything becomes meaningless and you approach everything cynically. But deconstruction isn't just associated with postmodernism, but also metamodernism.
All right, Paul.
So he's just moving on then, I guess. Okay.
So all right. So yes, postmodernism comes from kind of this philosophy critique of modernism, and the thing about modernism. So postmodernism is born out of, hey, modernism doesn't explain enough.
All right.
Modernism has, as in its concept, is we can explain the world 100%. We can, know the human mind 100% through top-down structures, big government, big religion, big science. We can know human. The problem is when, some time later there goes, damn, we can't agree on an objective truth. And that's where postmodernism came in. And that says, so we have talked a lot. We have talked for the past, 20 years. And it turns out there is no objective truth. Mathematically, we've determined objective truth is not a thing actually, and then all right, so modernism failed. So now we are beyond modernism, so we're going to call ourselves postmodern, and that's kind of step one. The basis of modernism did not work. Also, it is also kind of tied in with the failings of some big projects, projects of humanity, and kind of the failings of it. Science, this beacon of enlightenment, failed to stop genocides and war and all that stuff. The big idea that we can elevate ourselves and become great humans just immediately became
didn't happen. Didn't happen,
and worse. It became, racial superiority, the Aryan race, and all that stuff. So
20-year critical critique. All right, now I'll let you.
Yeah. So, and also not just the German, also atom bombs and all that stuff. So it just turns out that. One happy utopia of modernism that we can know everything and we can kind of determine stuff like that didn't happen and actually can't happen. So postmodernism comes out of that and brings with it kind of, this more varied thing about, yes, that truth, an objective truth, is not really possible because of experiences, perspective, histories, ethnicities, and all that stuff kind of makes what you experience to be true something different from somebody else. And the postmodern is kind of a recognition of that, and this is kind of where we are living right now. So people kind of resist the idea that there's no objective truth.
Right.
People don't like that very much. And he very much said it quickly, like, oh, the postmodernism has been controversial recently. Bitch, try when it was first invented.
We've been arguing about it for 100 fucking years.
The guy was with writing his book, beating each other others out of the way to write what he was writing.
It was literally Battle Royale philosophy edition.
Yeah, it was a war.
So the problem that I think you're going to run into, Ellie, right, is like all of that's well and good, but when most people hear the word postmodern, the first thing that comes into their mind is that fucking Yick game. Right? And I think that's kind of what the issue is, right? Because obviously postmodernism is an actual philosophy with its history, and you've gone into it just now, right? And talked about it, right? And there is some interesting stuff to kind of talk about, because I do think that there is some value in criticizing the establishment, right? Criticizing the way things are, right? Because we can't actually change anything, and if we don't, look critically at what we have, right?
Yeah,
and just being stagnation is, apathy and stagnation is death, essentially, right? So you do want some leeway to be able to have change, right? The only issue is, have you ever watched, there's that video of that fucking imam guy who's like, democracy is for the people, by the people, but the people are retarded, right? That's the problem you run into, because people will look at like postmodern stuff, right? And they'll get from it is yick, right? That's all that's it's what I was saying before about deconstruction. It goes through the filters, right? It goes through all the chains of the link and the vine and the blah blah blah, and then once it hits the masses, the retarded people, as the Imam would say, right? It ends up getting morphed into something that is completely different to what it actually is, right?
So I do have to maybe correct, since we're in the big philosophy words and space. It's not like you can have. There was no change under modernism. It was just kind of measured along a stick of you're not being optimal,
right?
And in
the altar of productivity, you would say.
Yeah, the altar of productivity, the altar of scientific process, the altar of the perfect human. And
so, the
thing is the postmodernist came along and said, actually, there is no perfect human. There is no objective standard of what is progress.
Which I can understand how that would lead to nihilism and cynicism, because if you're basically saying like, well, there is no perfection, right?
Mm.
Which is a true statement. Don't get me wrong, right? There is no, there's always the saying, don't let perfect be the enemy of good, right? Because you're never going to achieve true perfection. You kind of have, it's physically impossible, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like that. There's wrongness in what it's saying. I think the issue is people take that and then they go, well, I can't be perfect anyway, so nothing really matters, right? It's like the famous nihilism meme of the guy with the sunglasses, like, nothing matters, radical, right? Like that kind of thing. And I think that's the wrong lesson to take from it. The lesson to take from it is like, yeah, okay, we can't be perfect, but we can at least strive to be good, right? We can at least try to, improve. I know I'm speaking in memes, right? But there's the whole like, I want the surf guy who's like, I want to improve society somewhat, and then you have the guy pop up who's like, but yet you live in society.
Yeah,
I am intelligent, right? That's what I feel the postmodern shit starts to like be detrimental, because people will use it as an excuse to not actually do anything, right?
Yeah, but
to loop it, because I do want to loop it back around to talking about whatever the fuck this metamodernism shit is, right? Because I kind of want to loop it around, right? Because this guy's movement critical of postmodern cynicism, right? So the cynicism of postmodernism, the nihilism, right, of nothing matters, bottom text society, right? Metamodernism is being critical of that postmodernism, from what I'm understanding from this video and from what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
Metamodernism is being critical of that nihilistic side of postmodernism, and ReZero is metamodernism because it has. I'm going to assume where this is going is ReZero is metamodernism because it is optimistic and it shows, hey, you will suffer, you will have pain, you will go through trials, but you will come out the other end a better person, and you will succeed, and you will have hope, and billions must try, basically.
Yeah, the problem is that postmodernism isn't cynical; it is skeptical of big ideas, big the big science, the big human, that kind of deal. But it's not nihilistic in its things. It's more of a, hey, it's kind of more viewpoints. You are not the one who is in the right by default.
Right.
That's kind of right. And that is kind of where it kind of gets fuzzy, and where there is no objective truth. So
right. Okay.
I doubt that metamodernism will say, well, actually, there is an objective truth. That's very
No, that's what I'm saying. I don't think it's going to say that, oh, there's an objective truth. What I think it's doing is it's taking the interpretation of postmodernism that is the cynical one, and then it's saying, that's bad, let's not do that. Let's not become cynical. Let's again, billions must try, right? Billions must try. All right, so we'll address Samu's chat and then we'll move on, because I do want to hear what Video Man has to say. Perfection does exist if you never try anything. You are perfectly incompetent. If people want perfection, that is the only path to it. Interesting. Big philosophy hours in the Critical Critique stream today.
Nothing today. Only big thinking. Big brain.
Big thinking today. No horny. Only big thinking. All right, let's keep
Just
going.
in a different way. Metamodernism is a response to postmodernism. Huffington Post writer Seth Abramson writes,
we're getting big sources.
Quotes.
Ooh. Does he cite his sources in the description? Does he? Let's take a look. It's time to do the Joe check. We're gonna do the Joe check. Let's have a look. Hey, he does. He does cite his sources. What a good man. What a good man. So what do we got? We got Huffington Post and we got metamodernSim.org are his sources. So let's have a look at what we got here. What is metamodernism? A fucking article from 2017. Okay. And the metamodernSim.org website is down. Can't provide secure connection.
Is it just an article by some guy?
Seth something. He's a contributor. He is an attorney, assistant professor at the University of Hampshire, poet, editor, best American experimental writing editor, metamodern studies. So he's an academic. He's an academic man. He's an academic man.
Sometimes there is a risk. Sometimes it is just a guy that has written something and that.
So this post was published by on the now closed HuffPost collaborator platform. Collaborators control their own work and post freely on the site. So it's basically, it's not just because it's Huffington Post. Don't think that it's just it's this guy's own opinion, right? It's this guy's own thing, his own shit. And then I'm giving this a quick. I know Video Man's going to quote it, but I'm just giving this a quick flick through just to kind of see what we've got here. So metamodernism, coined in 1975. What is it? Understanding cultural philosophy. It all seems kind of dry. Internet stuff happened.
I'll tell the story about how I almost died to chat again. So I was in the factory. It was a big.
Okay, no. It's fine. But let's see what Video Man. What's the quote Video Man's going to take? Let's find out.
Returning to a state of naivete, pretending the preceding quarter century of postmodern deconstructive thinking hadn't happened at all was not an option. How could we ever carry forward the lessons of the postmodern period while regaining our faith in sincerity, hopefulness, and indeed our own future.
Yeah, it's kind of like what I was saying, right? Where it's like, hey, postmodernists, stop being depressed. Hope. Millions must try. Billions you must try.
I do have to say that. So
sorry, my throat's getting a bit iffy. I'm gonna have to get another drink.
Not that I hang around with Joe. I'm just in a server where he's at, kind of. I never heard the term, sometimes some, words of postmodern will fall, but never ever metamodern. So I doubt it is actually kind of a widely held, belief system idea yet. Maybe it will, maybe in the future, but right now it's feels kind of a fringe thing.
Yeah, it does. It seems like a relatively newish type thing. Also, while I go grab another drink, I have another meme for you. I want you to put...
damn.
Here you go. Where's my thing? All right, I'll be back in a sec.
Yeah, Aratsu wants his funny images again. Give me a second. It's going to appear all right in the center or somewhere very ugly. There it is. There
we go. I needed it because my throat. I could feel my throat starting to go off. So anyway, Samu, here you go. You get another one. Well, that one was a good one. That one was good. The first one was a failure kind of one. So
you better know. You're better off not hearing it.
Yeah, it was not good. It was like a clunk. Didn't have a hiss. You gotta have the hiss. The hiss is very important. So anyway, let me go. I gotta get the stream back up. Here we go. Let me have a look. See what we got going on here. Ooh, no, wait. Ooh, sorry. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, we got billions must try. Billions must try.
Billion must sleep in a moment.
Billions must sleep. Yeah, all right. Yeah, we are not far in this video at all. So let's try. A lot to talk about though. So let's continue.
Postmodernism deconstructs and criticizes. Metamodernism, then, is deconstructing and reconstructing at the same time. The Metamodernist Manifesto states, Metamodernism shall be defined as the mercurial condition between and beyond irony and sincerity, naivety and knowingness, relativism and truth, optimism and doubt. It's this oscillation between modern and postmodern ideas.
So, Naratsu, do you know what the Mercurian position is?
No, explain it to me.
Middle.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I was gonna pause and be like, man, this is like as a layman, right? Like, I don't want to come off as like anti-academic, right? Because that's cringe, right? But sometimes it's like, man, can you like fucking chill with the big brain shit for a minute? So, we're talking about fucking ReZero, okay? Right? Like, come on. Do we really need to make it this complicated?
I just saw somewhere, I believe I remember, mercurial position is not necessarily the middle ground, but it's kind of more the if you just go back and forth between the two, and then you take kind of the average between that. Yeah.
Right. Fucking hell. Right, let's keep going.
Keystone of metamodernism is that instead of rejecting meaning like postmodernism, it forms new meaning. A great example is Everything Everywhere All at Once, a film...
You seen this movie? I haven't seen it.
I have seen the movie. It's a good movie.
Yeah, I've heard it's good. I haven't watched it, but I've heard it's good.
That's very much about how the universe is a cold, chaotic, meaningless place. But it's also a film about finding meaning despite that. About not succumbing to this nihilistic thinking, even if it's true, by making genuine connections with the people close to us. You watch as genres shift from one to another, and jokes transform into meaningful moments. It's about, as Abramson would put it, regaining faith in sincerity, hopefulness, and the future, amidst the overwhelming postmodern madness that is life. So then, why do I think ReZero is metamodern?
Okay.
So, in the meantime, Nord, so I did a quick look on what mercurial is, and you can be mercurial, and that just means you switch your mind or mood without warning. So it just, swing back.
So
and
you're
forth.
schizophrenic, basically.
Yeah. So the metamodernists are schizophrenic.
Become schizo. Well, actually, no. I think it would be bipolar, wouldn't it? Not schizo. Like,
Yeah,
bipolar.
I guess
bipolar. Yeah, bipolar is because schizophrenic is when you hear the voices. Bipolar is when you have mood swings. I'm pretty sure because I have to remember my definitions of things. So anyway, irony and sincerity, I guess.
Have Sin and Punishment font, I believe. No, not Sin and Punishment.
Yeah. So let's see what he's got to say about irony and sincerity.
When ReZero starts off, it seems like it could be a straightforward deconstruction of the isekai genre,
in the background.
or as straightforward as a deconstruction can be. Subaru Natsuki, expecting to become like the protagonist of the many isekai stories he's read, is disappointed to find out that even after being summoned to another world, he's still just the same person he was before.
This is a different world summons, right? Where's
fucking dub watcher? Ooh.
Yeah.
you get one of those per episode if it happens.
my main character set up a status bar?
You thought you were going to get some grand epic story of heroism? No. This is what it would be like if some shut-in boy from Earth was actually sent to a fantasy world. The story tells
Go
you
watch Shield Hero. It's the same thing.
Yeah. Literally the same thing. Well, kind of, but I mean, I kind of get what he's saying, and he's sort of, again, he's using that kind of internet definition of deconstruction, where it's like, oh,
that's a problem.
It does something different. It's not, he's not an overpowered guy with a cheat skill and invincible powers, blah 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 blah. No, he's just an ordinary guy who's now in a fantasy world. Oh no. And he dies, and then he comes back, and then he dies, and then he comes back. Oh, right, So, yeah, it feels like he's talking about it from that definition, the online one. So,
free of the whole thing. Except, it also doesn't, because even this early on, it's punctuated with strong moments of surprising clarity. When Subaru is saved by a half-elf girl named Amelia, they search for her lost insignia together and come across a lost child. At first, Subaru is reluctant to help since it'll delay them, so Amelia leaves him to help the girl on her own. But she's unsuccessful, causing Subaru to intervene and perform a coin trick to stop the girl from crying so they can return her to her parents. Contrary to what came before it, there's nothing ironic here. Subaru doesn't go, "Oh wow, a lost child quest, how lazy." There's no punchline. It's just a genuine act of kindness, and the story treats it as such. And after this, more and more sincere moments start piling.
So, I don't know if I would define just having acts of kindness happen in the show as sincerity, right? Because to me, like, if something's being sincere, it's more like it's being honest, right? In a sense. Right? So I don't think that Subaru is being kind to the child, right? To say help the child. Oh no. Is that the story? Because you have to think about it, like, because there's two ways that we can think about this, right? Is it like sincere within the universe, right, of Subaru performing the action, or is it sincere in like a meta commentary sense, in that the show is somehow being sincere by portraying this act, right?
No,
and so I'm kind of like, that's where I'm getting a bit hung up here. I'm getting a bit confused because I'm not like, because when I hear sincerity, I think about, the show's being honest about what it is, right? Like if you had like, how would I describe this? Like if you had like, I don't know, an ecchi show or something, right? and it's showing the booba, and it's doing all the stuff, right? And it's being very like honest about what it is. It's not conflicting with like the story almost, right? Like if you had like, I don't know, we're trying to do like a super serious, you know, big thing, but all the girls have giant fucking tatters.
Reviewer is a very sincere show.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of getting at, right? Like, Interspecies Reviewers is sincere about what it is, right? It is a story about a bunch of guys going to brothels, reviewing the brothels, reviewing the different creatures they're fucking, right? It's on the... it's very sincere, right? That's what I'm imagining here, but I'm not getting that from what's happening on screen right now. Is kind of where I'm getting a bit iffed here.
So
I don't know. Maybe I'm just going insane. I don't know.
To be very postmodern, these characters are introduced for Subaru to later save.
Right.
To be cynical. The joke, right?
Oh god. So yeah. I don't know. I just kind of wanted to.
So
I don't know.
It is in Subaru's character because he does care and he does want others to be better than he was, etc. Because he deals with his insecurities. He's very insecure, and the way how he deals with being insecure is to be boisterous, big. Look at me, because please look at me, otherwise I don't exist. That kind of insecurity. So, he likes kids because kids are very, hey, look at me, talk to me, and talk to you, etc., etc. And he can mean a lot to other people that way. I feel that's kind of maybe not the story reason to introduce these kids, but those kids can very much fulfill that need for Subaru because he likes interacting with people. It gives him attention in that way.
Right.
So, I would not say that him interacting with children is him being sincere. It is more of a need for him to be useful to others, and if
we want to go even more cynical with it, the author is doing this to show the audience that side of Subaru.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's being done for a specific reason, right? But yeah, that's kind of...
So, but this is taking into account Subaru's character in that he's insecure, and kids are easily, play with them 2 times, and they want to play with you a 3rd time. That's an easy way to get attention, and it would very much suit Subaru very much for insecurities, etc.
Right.
That is not being sincere in that sense, right? For all the reason he does it, it is a very nice thing for Subaru to do. His kids live in semi-medieval times. They would just otherwise pick up the grains in the farm, whatever historically, whatever he was playing with the kids. That's cool of Subaru.
Yeah, so I guess my thing is, charity do not equal sincerity on its own. But anyway, let's see what the guy's got to say.
Going on. But Subaru's genre savviness still often causes him to point out the tropes he encounters as he sees them.
Ah, so it's the old twins who are good at different things trope, huh?
There's this fluctuation between irony and sincerity in Subaru's character, but the pendulum swings to sincerity as he learns to stop viewing people as archetypes. Initially, he pretty much thinks he has everyone figured out when he first meets them. He goes from instantly labeling Beatrice an NPC,
the first NPC found,
to discovering her troubled background and reaching out to her in one of the series' most poignant and emotionally earnest moments. Subaru grows as a character as he rejects his ironic disposition to the world and embraces sincerity, because he is a really sweet, empathetic, and genuine person. There's a moment during the second arc that I think is a...
Yeah.
In Log Horizon.
Yeah.
nothing like, I'm playing an MMO and I'm transporting in a random video game. No, they are just the world they can't look out in the world is now real.
Yeah.
The NPCs they talk to are real people now.
Yeah.
That immediately invites the conversation of what is an NPC.
Yes, it does.
When they suddenly become real people, what is your relationship to them? The story explores that a little bit. What is from the perspective of a now real NPC, an actual person with motivations and history and future? How does an MMO adventurer look? And the story
it does. Yeah, I mean, there's the whole arc where they're like negotiating with the king, and doing.
And before that, there's this one NPC that sneaks in with the adventurers, pretending to be one of them, and the whole first season ends with the NPC becoming an adventurer, further blurring the lines of what is one and what is the other.
Yeah.
And that is just one. That's a very direct way to examine the relationships between tropes, NPCs, and actual people. Others are just something like Overlord, right? Overlord NPCs become real, and the problem here is that the NPCs still kind of want to be the NPCs to Ainz, to our main character Skeleton Daddy.
Yeah, because basically, from what I recall in Overlord, all of the NPCs in the game are like handwritten, right? Like they were hand scripted and handwritten by the
backstories and personalities and all that stuff.
Backstories and personalities, and what essentially happened when Ainz gets transported is all of those NPCs with their as they are written, right?
Yeah.
As they are written in the scripting of the game, become as they were written, right? And that leads to, obviously Ainz messes with what's her name?
Albedo.
Albedo, yeah, messes with her backstory and makes it so that she's deeply in love with him, and so now that she's real, she's deeply in love with him.
Oh
right?
No, the consequences of my actions.
Yeah, and I think that over time, from what I'm seeing, from watching Overlord, the NPCs are kind of developing their own kind of free will, I guess. But I think that they are still kind of running off the programming in a sense, because the honorable warrior guy is still the honorable warrior guy, the bug dude, right? Like they're all still there as they were written, but maybe there is an idea of, they are actually real. They do have their own thoughts and opinions now. They're not just scripted NPCs, right? So yeah, so it's not unique to ReZero, obviously. There's definitely
is he not even
examples.
Unique? Yeah, it's also like in Konosuba, this character, the Adventuring Guild, and the guy at the bar that says ominous and mysterious things that is just there to say those things. That character is so good. I hate it. I hate when he speaks every single time. The eyes of the future. You know the guy in Konosuba?
No, I don't. No, I don't.
He's a big.
I kind of get it.
He's a big guy and says, kind of. Was it cryptic things? I see the future in your eyes.
Ooh.
And then he smiles and closes his eyes and then turns away. What does that mean, fucker? That's the entire vibe of him. But
So it's kind of it is a So again, I don't know necessarily how this loops back around to be ReZero being sincere, right?
Yeah, but
I think
being genre savvy. I mean, Rudy. I've read the first 3 novels, light novels. he cannot stop referencing other shows and series and games.
Yeah, the author's
Everything
very
to him is a reference in the goddamn text. Oh, this is just like Zero no Tsukaima. Oh, Fantasy World.
This is just like my Japanese anime.
Oh, I hope no slimes will attack me. Dragon Quest, etc., etc. He cannot stop. So,
I get well, to kind of loop back around, and then we'll continue the video. Right, my problem I have, right, is there's this disconnect between sincerity in universe. It's like what I said before: sincerity in universe versus meta sincerity. Right, and what I mean by that is like, is Subaru being sincere in like becoming more sincere as a character instead of becoming ironic, which is what the argument the guy's making, kind of, right? Is that Subaru, he comes into the world, he starts off being very ironic. Haha, I'm in a video game, or I'm in a fantasy world. Haha, you're this trope. Haha, you're that trope. Haha, 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 right? And then over time is becoming more sincere as he realizes, wait, no, this is actually a real world. These people aren't NPCs. They're actual humans. I should treat them as actual humans, right? Instead of tropes, right? And I mean, that is a pretty valid argument, right? That is like Subaru himself being more sincere, right? And so and so. The question is that a meta commentary on sincerity in society, right? On maybe is ReZero's message about, hey, maybe you should stop being an ironic fucking irony poster and you should start actually being sincere in real life, right?
So
that's where I'm getting kind of tripped up, because is the man's point, right, Video Man, is his point going to be the overall point of ReZero is that is a criticism of irony within real life, or is it simply a story of someone who is cynical, who is ironic, coming to understand that, hey, that just like Haruhi has to come to overcome his traumas and his issues, right? Subaru has to overcome his own, cynical outlook on life, right? And have it be changed and shaped by the world around him, right?
Yeah,
that's kind of where I'm at.
Samu, unfortunately, Rudy doesn't say basically any of the things in the book in the anime, because it would
they changed it I know that they changed a lot, because there's like moments where he's referencing stuff like Dragon Ball and there's a lot of some of those sneak through in the anime, but they're very rare. Like they definitely changed it a lot in the anime to make it, and that's probably because of copyright reasons. I wouldn't be surprised.
Rudy thinks a lot. He thinks very much a lot. Maybe because he's a child and a baby, he has time to think, but he thinks a lot. So and the story is good enough without all the references anyway. So
yeah. So anywho, let's continue.
I do want to say something, right? Because the thing of metamodernism, back to the title and whatnot, is that you oscillate, you switch, you go from one to the other, and kind of pick out both at the same time. You pick both of the modern and the postmodern at the same time and combine them and fit them and make something that you then critique again, etc., etc. How is Subaru starting cynical, postmodern, and then learning to be a better person? How is that then becoming modern? To be metamodern is to switch between the two all the time. And it just looks to me that Subaru stops treating them as fake people and stops treating them as fake people, starts treating them as real people. That doesn't, give me a taste. Gives me the sense that he's becoming metamodern. That this more just becoming a better person. And the story is not metamodern. He's not convinced me at this point that the story is metamodern to have a cynical character become less cynical. Because cynicism is not an inherent trait of postmodernism. I wouldn't even. Yeah. So what?
Yeah. So like I said, my question is, is it simply just a story of Subaru becoming, like you said, becoming a better person, and part of that is him stopping the irony shit, or is the author / the work itself actively making a statement about society, right, and irony and stuff? So that's kind of the question. So let's see what the argument is from Video Man. I'm kind of interested. Let's see what he's got to say.
He dies several times, reliving the same week over and over again at the Roswell Manor. He is constantly subjected to ridicule and snide comments from other residents of the mansion who make fun of his mediocre abilities and lack of skills. While he suffers on the inside, he projects an exaggerated version of himself on the outside so that no one will see his pain. But Amelia sees through it.
Enough of that weird tough act.
She speaks to him like a human being and allows him to open up and express himself.
Yeah, it was rough. And it was so painful.
Her sincerity is able to cut through the sea of quippy negativity that he's been drowning in at the mansion. Metamodernism is all about looking past irony and cynicism and rediscovering sincerity and sentimentality. ReZero has that in spades.
Wish people who say I'd rather die would actually die before saying stuff like that.
Don't forget, it is a mercurial position. Metamodernism. It's not a swinging back, it is a constant motion.
Again, all I'm getting from this is billions must try. I'm sorry. That's all I'm getting from this is like, hey, optimism's cool.
Yeah, but
right?
He's just,
and I agree. Don't get me wrong. I agree. Optimism is cool. You should be more optimistic. But it's like, yeah, I guess. All right.
But I was just talking about, I mentioned before, maybe like a half hour by now, that Subaru is just has anxiety, and his way of dealing with anxiety is to become a big personality, and it's all just a facade, a shield, a coping mechanism, and him dropping that facade to express his real anxieties and his pain and whatnot, and insecurities, relieves him of this pressure to be this big personality.
Yeah.
What has that to do with the metamodernism thing? It just... Yes, maybe he yielded irony as a weapon, but not really against others, but more in protection of himself. I don't feel that...
Yeah, it's a self-defense mechanism, yeah.
That's not very much a postmodern... Subaru is not a avatar of the postmodern in episode 1. So him changing doesn't make him, move to a metamodernist position. It's to maybe skip all the way 3 hours into the future and to the end is, what does it actually make? Why is it this postmodern? It's just him becoming a better person. Let's continue. How far are we in the rest?
We're past halfway. We are literally past halfway because we're at 7:23 out of 14:54.
So maybe not over 3 hours, but at the 3 hour mark, we that's.
Yeah, we're gonna get there, boys. We can do it. Be optimistic. Billions must try. Okay, let's go.
Subaru is incredibly naive, and that becomes detrimental to himself and those around him. He's in a world he's not familiar with at all, but frequently acts like he understands these complicated cultures and systems, even with the little information he has. Not only that, but he's also naive about concepts from our world too, from social cues to how to barter.
Since all you do is think about what you want, there's a flaw in your approach.
His naivety often leads to his death, and is therefore a flaw he has to overcome. Being able to return by death teaches Subaru to slow down, gather information, and make well-informed choices. But also, his naivety is one of his greatest strengths. His lack of knowledge in this new world allows him to see everything from a different perspective and be critical of the established narratives. As a half-elf, Amelia is persecuted for her physical resemblance to the Witch of Envy, but Subaru has no reason to discriminate against her.
You think all half-elves are dangerous just because the witch was one?
Being told this is the way it is doesn't stop Subaru.
Kind of.
Just discrimination, bad guys. Did you know? Did you? Oh,
it doesn't.
Man.
It just never. Everything he says doesn't feel any special. It doesn't feel unique to this ReZero in particular, or even something like.
And I mean, and my thing is, it's like I don't even think he's wrong, right? Like, yeah, he's naive, and that's a strength and a weakness, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but it's something.
Okay.
Alice in Wonderland. Alice walks in, with the queen and all the cards and whatnot, and says, "The queen, you are mean. You are a mean person.
Fuck you.
Like,
fuck you, bitch."
And of course, Alice here.
You're fugly.
Alice is here is naive. She just came here.
She doesn't understand the culture and the taboos and the contact.
She just walks in and says, "You're weird. You're being mean right now." And then,
yeah.
Really...
Alice in Wonderland, the well-known deconstruction, postmodern, metamodern story.
Yeah. So I was just thinking of stuff like that of Alice in Wonderland, and maybe even also stories older than that. I don't see what makes ReZero the metamodern story.
What makes it so special in comparison to other things that have the same things in them? Yeah.
And I can see a way where you can, if you just frame it differently. Don't say ReZero is the postmodern, not postmodern, the metamodern story.
Yeah.
Kind of just flip it around, right? Say, hey, metamodernism. And don't frame it in I have watched ReZero and I've learned about postmodernism. Let me count the ways I see postmodernism reflected in ReZero. Instead of ReZero is written like a postmodern.
Right.
It's kind of, it's
prescription versus description. Almost,
very much so. It's like in this case,
because you could have like a hey, I understand postmodernism. Here's all the times in ReZero where I thought that it kind of tapped into this philosophy a little bit that I rather than saying no, ReZero was set out by the again. It goes back. It always comes back to the people projecting their own
it's also
stuff.
It's the problem with the deconstruction. I know the author hated this trope and wrote it into the story. And
And I've talked about before about how I hate when people project their own view onto the author and try and say, oh no, the author clearly meant for this to be like this, right? And because that's different than having because you can have your interpretation, right? People have wild, wacky fucking interpretations of things all the fucking time, right? Like nothing inherently wrong with that, right? But it's when you start trying to prescribe, and I very specifically call it prescribing, right? Because you are essentially saying, I know the author, I know the work better than the author, I know what it's about. The author clearly meant for it to be like this. That is the way it is, right? It is definitely like this. No debate, no discussion, no, can't, whatever. And then the author comes around and says Ultraman references, and you become like a fucking screaming baby. Like, no! You were meant to be on my team! No, I've been betrayed by the author's intent. But luckily, death of the author exists, so I don't have to care about it. Right? And that's where that's kind of like the problem, right? It's like, no, just don't. You wouldn't have this problem in the first place, right? if you didn't prescribe and project your own bullshit onto the work, right? If
onto
you just
the
looked
offer,
at the work for what it is.
words. You're participating words into in the author's mouth. This was written. This Subaru is a postmodern, is a metamodern character because the author wrote it this way. Alright, even that sentence isn't necessarily that wrong, right? Because it's still kind of your interpretation in that sense. But everything, he's just talking in a way that makes me feel like that he says that the author intended to this
was
work.
Clearly this was clearly the intent.
This is a reaction to the postmodern, and therefore he wrote it this way, the author. And as I'm maybe because I'm just saying it, stuff like that, there are ways to salvage this, right? There are ways to clarify this is your view on the work, not that the author made it so for this reason.
Yeah, there's plenty of ways to go about it where you can again, it's like I said, having your own interpretations is fine. Having your own interpretations is good, right? You are allowed to have your fun little headcanons, right? It's okay. But just don't project that onto the author and the work itself, right?
Because even in situations, right, there's plenty of stories that I can think of where I feel that is written as a reaction to something else. There, this story was written maybe Dimension W, stupid as a letter that is in English, was written after the Fukushima disaster. And what do you know? There's this brand new energy source which powers the whole world, but it has a secret and hidden risk attached to it. That doesn't remind you of anything. No.
I wonder what that's about.
Nothing at all. Imagine Naretsu, that the author actually didn't intend to be an analogy to Fukushima.
100% a coincidence. Yeah.
100% a coincidence. It still can be unintentionally, subconsciously, a anxiety in his soul that he's written without knowing that it was this. Widespread societal anxieties, the popularity of death games and whatnot is an expression of the anxiety. The only way to win is to kill off all your peers. And isekai, the idea that this world is kind of doomed, etc., etc. You best.
Yeah, we must go to a new world.
And the people who write isekais and the death games from 20 years ago didn't set out, I'm feeling this anxiety in society, let me write a story about this anxiety in society. It's of course.
No, they wanted to make a cool story about fucking dragons.
And it happens to be also capturing the anxieties that they have at the time. That's the whole societal trends and whatnot. So the point is, an author can write something that is the great example of big philosophy, big idea, big anxiety, without the author herself ever intending it to be that, or having even knowing that they did. So.
Yeah, just don't project your own bullshit.
But don't say that the author was doing this intentionally. Don't give me that impression that you know that the author did this intentionally without giving me a quote.
Right.
And if you give me a quote that says the author says, I didn't intend to be an analogy to nuclear disasters, and then say, the author said this, it's obviously wrong.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Well, anyway, let's continue.
He's driven by his idealism, especially when it comes to the idea of preventing death.
Isn't it wrong
them to know people will die and not stop it? If you have the power to save them, why wouldn't you choose to do so?
Subaru is determined to save everyone he can, even those who've killed him, and he will do everything in his power to achieve that, even if he's told it's impossible. The cynical postmodern story might have Subaru learn that this desire is unrealistic and a naive delusion, and force him to learn that he can't save everyone. But not ReZero. In the 4th arc, Roswaal sets up a scenario where Subaru would be incapable of saving both those in the mansion and those in the sanctuary from dying.
Even with the authority that you have at your disposal, it's infeasible to save both. You must weigh the options and decide which is more important.
And yet, Subaru proves him wrong. Against all odds, Subaru is able to save everyone in the mansion and at the sanctuary, in a big middle finger to the idea of you can't save everyone. In true metamodern fashion, it's good to be naive.
Hey, wait a second.
About certain
Roosevelt set up a system, a truth of the world. And Subaru says this truth of the world is fake. Isn't that postmodernistic? Big authority Roosevelt, technically his master, set up a scenario where things are assumed to be true. And Subaru proved him wrong. No, there is...
But yeah, no, it's just,
Also, yeah, just we have heard of the Y2K.
I've
I've
memed about it already. I've memed about it already.
Interviews are a good way to back something up, even if you just outright going to disagree with them. And yes,
didn't this happen in Spider-Man 1?
Saving both when you are told that it's impossible or you shouldn't or you couldn't is a thing in hero stories all the fucking time.
Yeah.
It's a thing as old
Are we
as
going to
history.
say, Spider-Man 1, the notorious metamodern movie?
Well, he's good. There is maybe he'll counter it. Well, metamodernism was first coined in 1970.
Yes, Samu, I'm just going to sit here and nod like that Naruto meme because I have no clue what's going on. Don't worry, Samu. It's okay. It's okay.
It's old as history itself, saving both when you're told you can't.
Yeah.
So also very much a thing in the story is all the still trying to save both and losing both. Because you're being greedy.
Yeah. Like, it can swing either way, right? It can swing in the cynical way or the positive way, right? And ReZero swings more in the positive way. So, I wouldn't necessarily say that makes it a meta-modern story. Again, because if you're going to boil it down to, like, meta-modern equals optimistic, then that applies to basically every fucking story ever made, right? Because there's way more stories out there that are actually, like, about being optimistic and having hope and not losing hope. And, like Girl's Frontline being a story about love and hope. Jesus fucking Christ.
I mean,
but you get what I mean, though, right? Like you get what I mean. Like, it almost becomes redundant, right? It becomes like, what's the point in actually having it as a classification if it can be just applied to basically fucking everything, right? Like,
even stuff like the Zelda games, the Mario games, Saving the Princess, Future for the World, the lights, the Triforce power, every goddamn RPG, Final Fantasy JRPG game ever, down with the old gods, your oppressive rule is no more. Or I know Baldur's Gate, you also kill like 5 gods every adventure, so in D&D stuff. So he's kind of just reversing the whole thing, because I would be far more on board with all this stuff when he's just saying these are examples of, not avatars of, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Right. All right, let's go.
Certain things. It's what causes Subaru to fail, and what causes him to succeed beyond anyone's expectations. The people who apparently understand the world keep getting shown up by the guy who knows nothing about it.
Optimism and doubt. Yes. Okay, let's just keep
characters, conflicts.
One of the most fascinating things about ReZero is its tonal shifts. The fact that the show can go from moments of extreme hopelessness to shining positivity is completely in line with metamodernist expression. In Arc 3, Subaru dies over and over again trying to stop Petal Use and the Witch Cult from attacking the manor. He watches his friends and all the people he cares about die in the most horrifying and miserable moments of the series, to the extent that some people dropped the show here, believing that it crossed into suffering porn territory.
Oh boy.
It's crude, I guess.
But I can imagine there are people like that. Because look, I get not, you don't like gore, you don't like suffering, you don't want to see that kind of shit, right? Yeah, it's understandable.
But the rapid shifting between happy fun times and brutal murders is not even unique. Very unique.
I think that's like the through line of this entire cast, and because we keep kind of coming back to that, is like ReZero is not a unique example of this, right? Like it's not like the title is why ReZero feels so different, and it's like, well, it's not different. It's not actually different.
So if you through just on a pure emotion shift, I remembered with Seitokai no Ichizon, where it goes. There's one episode, like episode 6, I believe, from the top of my head, where it goes from it's a 4, mostly in one room, characters bantering around and having jokes, a comedy show. And until there's suddenly a super duper melancholic moment, and it stands very much out to me, and was very kind of impressed with how it was happy fun time, joking, slapping each other across the face, across the rooms or whatnot, and suddenly switching clothes and etc. costumes, to suddenly go very melodramatic, somber. It's 4 in the morning. It's misting all around, or morning mist, and they have a kind of a genuine, down to earth, zero jokes, just talking. And I was kind of very impressed with that mood shift, with this moment where they're all just talking. And then they go into full-blown, ridiculous costume-wearing comedy again. And that they can switch around real fast. I'm reminded of Fire Force, when you can have life or death battles, and then her clothes fall off. Tamaki's clothes fall off.
Yeah, wacky fun. Well, yeah, wacky fun times.
Stuff like, what else do you want to know? There's so there are
you don't have to list all of them, right? But because the point is there's lots of examples of it, so it's not necessarily super unique. 5-0 makes a good point. Wonder if the guy is just seeing so much irony poisoned stuff that he's clinging to the first thing that feels like it's not irony poison. Which, I mean, it could be.
It's not like anime is that irony.
Well, yeah.
Poison.
I was gonna say, like, my thing is, I don't actually think a lot of anime itself is irony poisoned. It's more the fan base and the people consuming anime that have become irony poisoned, right? Like, I don't think anime itself as a medium and the stuff that's getting produced, maybe outside, I can't even think of any examples that I would consider like irony poisoned anime, right? But I think it's more so people have an insecurity around being into anime, and that leads them to try and use irony as a shield to defend themselves, right? Because you see this a lot where people will be, I've ranted about this is trash and so am I so many fucking times I'm probably going to lose count, right? But that's the perfect example of people like, I think it does come from insecurity, right? I think it comes from people not wanting to feel like, you know, getting mocked or attacked or, you know, told that they're weebs or, you know, whatever, because they're into, I don't know, ReZero or Jujutsu Kaisen or, you know, whatever anime, right? And so they, you know, they put up this shield of irony about it, right? Because they don't want to feel like they're getting mocked. And they want to feel like they're part of the joke, almost, right? Like, yeah, haha, yeah, I am a weeb, and I am trash, and I like anime, yeah, so, you know, but I actually find that shit sad. I find it really sad that people can't just be genuine about the stuff that they enjoy, right?
Yeah,
so,
and just
yeah, but
I'm going through a list of anime. Don't worry about it. I'm a Kakushiko.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think to save time, Ellie. I don't think we need to go through every single anime that's ever existed.
No.
Because you do that a lot. You do that a lot, where it's like, oh, we need to. I'm gonna list off every single anime that ever existed that has this particular thing.
Just this one, you know. They're having fun. They're having jokes in a child. The teacher, concerned parent, is spying on his own child to make sure she's not bullied and whatnot, etc., etc. Teachers catch them. Funny moment. Blah 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 blah. Then, oh no, the child is fine. Look at your daughter being all daughterly like. And then suddenly the one child says to the daughter from, "Hey, didn't your mom teach you this?" And there's a silence. And then the daughter goes, "Oh, I'll do it again." And it's like, oh damn, there was a very sensitive nerve being touched right there, right in between the jokes. And that's
all right.
Just examples that. Yes,
we've had we've had enough examples.
Yeah, enough.
We understand. We get the point. We get we're almost done. We've got 4 minutes left. Let's get on with you. I know you want to go to sleep. Billions must sleep. Okay, let's go.
Subaru gives up.
You don't know what you're talking about. I have given up. Carrying it all was impossible from the very start.
The cynical postmodern story would end here. Of course, a shut-in gamer boy wouldn't be able to become a super powerful hero that could stop evil. Thinking anything different would happen is stupid. Subaru would be crushed, overwhelmed by the seemingly never-ending loops full of constant death and failure. But instead, with the help of Rem, Subaru finds meaning and hope despite all that.
You'll see the man you fell in love with become the most awesome hero you and the rest of this world have ever known!
It destroys the archetype of a typical isekai hero, but it makes the case for a new kind.
Does it though? Does it destroy the archetype of the typical isekai hero? That's a bit of a strong. That's a bit of a strong statement there. Personally, I feel like that's a bit.
You hate examples, Natsu, but you know what is now for me the hero of the Shield hero?
Well, we're talking about something different, so it's okay to have a few. I'm gonna have to make a rule. You only get like 2 examples, right? Because what happens is, Ellie, you go off on like 50 different examples, and it's like, okay, we get it. You get 2, all right? You get 2 examples. We got Naofumi.
It's a very hero-like. He does the first very hero-like thing, and that is to buy slaves. So that is a very deconstruction-like hero thing to do.
Yeah, well-known hero activity: going to the slave market on the weekends to buy a slave. All heroes do that, don't they, Ellie?
Yeah.
They go to the slave
all party
market.
members are essentially slaves because they have no free will.
No. Okay. I get what you mean, though. I get what you mean, but it's like no, like I would actually argue not even that, like, because again, my issue is like, does it what? Firstly, like, what is the archetypal isekai trope that is being destroyed by Subaru, right? That's the first question you have to ask.
The deconstruction thing, and it's kind of
that's the question, right? The question that you have to ask first is, what is the actual thing being deconstructed? And then the second thing you have to ask is it actually doing that? Because I don't think it actually is doing that, right? Because I don't think that Subaru, you know, going through all these trials and going through all these problems and having to, like, you know, deal with all the suffering is, like, one, unique to him, and two, something that, because I think that what's happening here is he's going off the meme about all isekai protagonists being, you know, the overpowered power fantasy. Oh, look, I have a cheat skill and I don't lose and I'm able to do all this, you know, this magic bullshit, Deus Ex Machina stuff to get out of the problems,
and it just
right?
feels like they've read their synopsis of Overlord and just
yeah,
everything is like that.
But yeah, but that's what I'm getting at. That's what my point is, right? Is like that he has this idea of what an isekai protagonist is in his head. But sure, okay, there are examples of that existing in some shows, yes, but not every single isekai is like that, right? And not every single isekai protagonist is like that. So that's why I'm asking the question, like, what is Subaru actually destroying? What is the archetype? Like, what is the thing, right? But this guy hasn't really established that, really, kind of, right? But anywho, let's continue.
For a new kind of hero. One where strength doesn't matter, but perseverance does. It deconstructs and it reconstructs. One of the most optimistic and uplifting moments of the show is born from the most depressing, brutal, and nihilistic parts before it. Rem helps Subaru find optimism in the face of uncertainty. Or how about in the fourth arc, when Subaru undergoes Echidna's second trial? He witnesses an unthinkable present, the possibility that every time he dies, he leaves behind a timeline that continues on after his death. It is horrifying. He sees the people he loves mourn his death and face a life without him. The very concept of returning by death as a superpower, of dying for the sake of others, is deconstructed. He's presented a world of infinite possibilities that show all of his efforts might have been in vain. But instead, the unthinkable present ends up becoming motivation for Subaru to value his own life more, to cherish himself the way he cherishes others. He finds meaning amongst the tragedy and uncertainty. Echidna promises that by forging a contract with her, he'll receive certainty and get what he wants, but at the cost of sacrificing his life over and over again, and he denies it.
If there's even a chance I might have value to them beyond my own
that
death,
spinning thing is a very funny. I think it's a very funny gif.
Very, very funny gif, yeah. But it's, yeah, I don't have much to say on this because
because it's kind of a repeat of prescribing.
The other, it's the repeat of the same. Yeah, it's like, oh, here's what's happening in the show. I'm going to project my metamodern view onto what's happening, and, you know, put the square peg in the triangle hole, right? I'm gonna make it fit, right? Rather than just looking at the work for what it is.
I have seen these episodes, and I don't remember if it actually is happening or if it's just kind of a illusion. Kind of not because the only.
I don't know.
I think it's not essentially another timeline that he's shown. Is more of a, hey, think about this kind of deal. And I don't think there's confirmation that those other timelines exist. It's kind of just, you know, hey, people get sad when you die, you know.
Yeah, maybe think about that. And then he does think about that.
Yeah.
All right, well, anyway,
and the decision is he isn't going to rely on. Oh damn!
He's not gonna just throw himself off a fucking cliff willy-nilly, basically.
So, oh damn! I stubbed my toe. Let me kill myself so I don't stub my toe the next time.
Damn! All right, let's go.
For it, no matter what.
Understanding that the world is full of suffering and uncertainty, and choosing to continue because he found meaning in it, it strengthens his resolve. It's postmodern deconstruction and modernist optimism coexisting. Subaru having hope in this bleak world of death and doubt is what makes him so special.
Are you getting scared?
Oh no, there's not a chance.
Alright, final thoughts, let's go!
Up until recently, I called ReZero a deconstruction of isekai shows.
Oh.
It picks apart isekai tropes and reveals their flaws. But
does it though?
No.
That's the problem, right? It's like, again, 99% of the time when people call something a deconstruction, it's not actually a deconstruction at all. It's not
Point is,
attempting to do
it's
that.
actually never deconstructions for all the things.
Yeah, never is. Yeah, never is. Yeah, it's just like, God.
But it also makes a new case for their existence. It finds new meaning in it. So it's not just a deconstruction. It's a deconstruction and a reconstruction. It's metamodern. What can start out as ironic and cynical can end up deeply sincere. There's power in both knowing and being naive. It paints a bleak world full of suffering, but finds hope and meaning within it. I've almost exclusively focused on Subaru because he's the protagonist, but other characters in the series also embody the same ideas. There's no one more cynical than Beatrice. It turns out she's living her life according to a gospel that's false, giving her no real meaning to her existence. She has to learn to reject nihilism and make her own meaning through forming a genuine connection with another person. It's something I suspect we'll see from many of the other characters in the series as time goes on. I'm sure some people will disagree about ReZero being a metamodern work, and that's totally...
Yeah, hey! Hey!
Well, if he says it's okay, I'm hearing him say it's okay if you disagree with his metamodernist work.
It's okay if you disagree with me.
What
It's
if-
okay to be wrong, Ellie. It's okay.
What if is it okay to say, dude, deconstruction as you are using it is not a real thing?
Yeah, exactly.
fair. Overall, it's a relatively new concept, and there isn't that much material out there to perfectly.
Yeah.
But looking at
what
ReZero
I
through the lens of metamodernism has helped me pin down why it feels so different, and why I like it so much.
Right. Fantasy girls and the nice guy. Okay.
Alright.
So yeah, I think we've pretty much, like, my main problem with this video is it's basically boils down to billions must try, optimism good, right? And it's like, yeah, optimism good. I just don't see how ReZero is unique, right? I think that's the core problem with the video, is it's not really establishing to me how unique, how this is a unique thing to ReZero, and that makes it different from other things, right? Not only within the genre of isekai, but within media in general, right? Storytelling in general. There's no real, like, emphasis on that idea that it's somehow doing something that's different. And if it is doing something that's different, what is that thing, right? I think that the overall, like, philosophical discussion about postmodernism, metamodernism, blah 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 blah, like, that's great and academic and all that, and that's fine. But I also think that you also have to take into context the way that people are using those terms in, like, the real world application, or the internet application, I should say, where, you know, postmodernism is just used as, you know, shorthand for communist bullshit, and deconstruction is used to mean, oh, this thing did something different than the genre that it's in.
Then the
right?
last thing I read.
The last thing that I read, yeah. So I think that, you know, while those are good discussions to have, and we should probably have them, and we need to kind of dispel a lot of the bullshit around these things, I think that this video kind of failed to really capture that, and really kind of, like, yes, it didn't complete what it set out to do. So that's kind of my final thoughts. I don't know if you've got anything else.
Yeah, I got.
You want to add to that?
The kind of interesting part, maybe it's not even that surprising. He's using the TV tropes definition of deconstruction, but he's not really. But he's somewhat close to a definition of of postmodernism. I'm not a fan of defining it as being anti-sincerity. That's kind of, you know, anti-truth. It's a little bit too crass, too quick, you know, cutting the corners so too much, because the postmodernism is not against truth. It is against, you know, the big objective,
absolute truth,
the obsolete truth, the obsolete French way, I guess.
Mm.
Truth. So he's kind of already framing postmodernism as something like kill yourself. Life has no purpose. Well, postmodernists will, of course, say, no, find your own truth, your own meaning in life. It doesn't have to be this way, etc., etc. There's a lot of positive elements, and even some things you might
it's like I said, there's not like we should be critical of,
the way things are.
We should be critical and be able to analyze the way things are.
Yeah, because the modernists...
billions of Subarus must try. Maybe I will, Sammy. Maybe I will when I get around to doing clips again. I'm going to have to go.
But because the modernist way, kind of, right? We are neither philosophers. I am not a philosopher. I read a book somewhat about the philosophies. But the modernist projects is very much one of, enlightenment of the whole human race. And those who are standing in the way of the human race should just be kicked out or, killed or whatever. Not be standing in the way. And who decides what those projects are? Well, the old man with the grey beards, of course, because they are the ones who've been around for the longest, I guess. And look what they all brought during the Second World War and before and after that, with the Great Depression and whatever. So, yes, the people of the modernist philosophy have had great ideas, great optimism for the great future of tomorrow. It is also one where, wars and the big genocide and all that stuff. Now, postmodernism, wars didn't stop after postmodernism came about, of course. But in that sense, it didn't really have any illusions that they were the one setting out on a great project of freeing humanity from some corrupting influence of some kind.
Right.
And maybe postmodernism did bring down a grand ideal. That's, the postmodern position in that is, of course, well, does it actually work though? Tell me where. Go just poking in it repeatedly until it breaks somewhere, and then you go, aha, it's not that great after all.
Right.
It's
all right.
Yeah, it's and to go. That's all the philosophies, and deconstruction is fake. Don't use it. Never on anime. That's in this sense. It's not. The author doesn't write something with this. I am deconstructing this thing by using it extensively in my story. It doesn't use ReZero. He hasn't shown me that ReZero is a deconstruction also, but a metamodern story by just showing some scenes, some examples, some scenarios from it. I'm not a fan, I said this before, I'm not a fan of ascribing these intentions to the author.
Yeah.
I do have to say that I don't think I actually heard him say that this is what he says he means. But he just keeps saying things that imply that this story was written with some postmodern, with the metamodern mindset. I said you can still make something without realizing that you are doing it. Everything, everywhere, all at once might be the closest thing to a metamodernist thing, because it's very much about the ridiculousness, the nothing mattering, the truth is non-existent kind of vibe. But the conclusion therein is that if nothing matters, then everything matters equally. And maybe you can say that is the metamodernist perspective on the world, the philosophy. But beyond all that, metamodernism hasn't really existed. You know, the term was coined in 1978 or something, but it hasn't been in the discussion for however long. I have a feeling, Aretsu, that Huffington Post article you read might be kind of.
I wouldn't say I read it. I fucking skimmed the fuck out of it, and it was a bit, but yeah, it's quite long.
It might be one of the first, articles written for the general public. And
who knows? I mean, it's the one this guy found.
Yeah, so maybe he might be very impressed with it, but it gave me some proof that this is an actual movement of some kind.
Well, there was another website linked in as sources, but that website came back as unsecure and dead. So
that's
I couldn't access it.
Yeah, it's kind of picking the hot new thing. VR is the future or something. And it has the vibe of that VR is the future in 2 years. Everyone everywhere all at once will have a VR. Will have VR. Wears VR at all times. Might just be that metamodernism won't go anywhere. It will just be this fringe idea that would later be subsumed to be actually just modernism, as a kind of, hey, maybe modernism was cool after all. Maybe it will just be kind of included as one of those groups that dislike postmodernism for rejecting big truth. But yeah, that's it. I had fun talking big ideas.
Yeah, it was fun. It was good. Yeah, we had some good discussions in that one. I reckon that was actually, even though the video was not great, I think that we both had some really good.
Great videos are not a requirement. Sometimes terrible.
Yes. Sometimes the best discussions come from the worst video.
The good old Maname Met videos.
Yes.
Terrible.
Yes. So anywho, let's talk about our shoujo anime today. We do
shoujo anime.
Yeah, the Dandadans shoujo anime time. Because I heard a rumor on Twitter. I don't know if this is true or not, but supposedly, so the author was an assistant to another author, right?
The Chainsaw Man.
Yeah, I believe so. But then there was another author that came in and said, "Hey, read 100 shoujo mangas."
All right, I have a little bit more.
Maybe... You have a bit more context on this? Because I heard this rumor on Twitter. I wonder if you know more about this. What's the deep lore?
I have heard this. I have a little bit more detail, so I might be more correct or more made up. But I heard this like a month ago, so who knows? The story is assistant to Chainsaw Man. He starts, writing his own applications for stories and whatnot, and concepts to editors.
Yeah.
And editor goes and like, another goddamn boring ass shonen with all the stupid plot. Guy, you have sent me 100 of these. They are all the same.
They're all shit.
They all have no personality. They have no characters. Here, read some shoujo manga.
Yeah, from what the Twitter meme was, it was basically described as, here is like 100 shoujo mangas. The editor just like has like a stack of books. It just slams it on the just here, 100 shoujo manga. Read now.
And yeah, I didn't I heard like 20 at most, and
yeah, well, yeah, it's memes exaggerate, right?
Whatever
so
the meme is, yes, he was. And this is not a unique thing, Naretsu.
No, it is not.
When your characters are bland, any editor for almost any medium actually will say, "Hey, read some more stuff." And
yeah, read stuff outside of your like knowledge base, right? Like read stuff that's outside of what you would normally read, so you can get a different perspective. Very common, yeah.
So it's not that surprising that the editor recommended shoujo, because he was very familiar with shonen, Chainsaw Man.
Yeah, he knows the show. He needed to get the
character relationships.
Yeah. That's what he.
But yeah, it is very funny because there is there was already a manga panel. Didn't I mention this before? Read some.
read the shoujus. Read.
Hey, here we go.
You must.
Now I'm going to inflict this pain on myself. Trying to add this.
Inflict the pain. Inflicting pain, yes. So but pretty much, yeah. But pretty much like so to kind of fast forward a little bit, right? While you look for this thing that you want to bring up on the screen, to fast forward a bit, right? Basically, he reads the 100 shoujo mangas or whatever, right? And
there it is.
Oh, here you go. Yeah, there it is. You should also read shoujo manga every once in a while and develop some emotions. Yeah, and that's pretty much what happened, right? And this loops back around to this episode, because this episode 100% feels like a shoujo manga episode. Very, very shoujo. To kind of let's start from the top, shall we? Let's start from the top.
Yeah,
so
you start.
It's the day after they defeat the Turbo Granny, right? They defeated the Turbo Granny. Everything's kind of going back to normal, and we've got our boy here, right? And they'll walk into school, and he's like, "Oh, how am I gonna interact with my new friend who's a girl? What is she gonna be cringy with me now? Oh, does she hate me now? Oh, she's waiting at the gate. Why is she waiting at the gate?
Can't be me.
Can't be me. She must be waiting for someone else. I'll just ignore her." Just walks right past. And that kind of sets the tone for the entire episode, because we get to see that, he really wants to talk to her about spirits, and she really wants to talk to him about aliens, and they're both in their own little heads during class, like, I want to talk to him. He's so and then I really liked this gag, right?
Yeah.
The gag where
missing each other.
The lunch bell goes, and they're like, I gotta go find him/her. I'm gonna go find them. And then they just keep missing each other. They just they're not in the classrooms. They're not in each other's classrooms. Oh, shit. Oh, maybe they're at the cafeteria. Oh, they're not at the cafeteria. Maybe they're at the food thing. Oh, maybe they're not. Oh, no. I can't. Oh, are they avoiding me? Am I cringe? Oh, did I scare him off?
So two things before we go further on Ratsu. Two things. It is funny detail. Where does Okurun sit? Where does our Ken boy sit?
He said, where does he sit?
In class.
He sits in the. I don't know. You need to. You
Hey,
didn't provide an image for it, so I can't fucking tell.
Where is his desk?
I don't know. You think I remember where his desk is?
Damn it. Where is Momo's desk?
Kind of near the back-ish, I think.
Yeah, so the thing is, Retsu, Ken's desk, Okurun's desk is in the middle of the classroom.
Right.
Momo's desk is in the protagonist's place.
Interesting.
Maybe. Sneaky
Sneaky
her
tropey trope.
just
Ooh,
kissing
I saw that trope. I saw the trope. It's a trope, Ellie.
Oh no!
No, it's a trope. Ruined. The show is ruined. It used a trope. It's ruined.
Indeed. Another thing, right? Besides their being cute when they meet up, when they were sitting side by side and not noticing each other, basically, they looked up at the sky, and you might notice, Naruto, there's a little heart in the sky, in the clouds.
Oh.
But they're just thinking, kind of, oh no. Why?
Oh no!
Maybe avoiding.
Maybe I'm too cringe. Maybe I scared them off.
Cringe. Maybe I'm cringe. No, I am maybe too cringe. Thinking to each other, but I was personally. I have a small interpretation when they're looking at the sky and they're not, saying things or thinking things. I thought the background music was a little bit loud. And I felt like, and the music was a little bit upbeat, silly.
Right.
Which is the situation they're kind of in, right? Missing each other constantly, worrying about silly things. I felt like you couldn't think very well with that background music. So my small interpretation is when she's looking at the clouds, she's unable to actually think of something because the music is too loud. The situation is too intrusive. She's just blankly staring into the sky, too worried actually to properly think of something. Just that is the feeling that I had when the music was rather loud. The background, the track was rather loud.
Yeah. So basically, yeah, they're sitting like, because I was describing this in a voice chat the other day of how this kind of went down, because they're in like that hallway that's like outside,
courtyard,
like a Japanese courtyard, but there's like a hallway kind of thing, path covered, and they're on either end, and they're sitting on benches either end, and they still haven't seen each other, and then they get up to leave, and they slam into each other, and it looks like a kiss. And then two of her friends are there, and they go, oh, they're kissing, and then they get into a married couple argument about. They get into it, but it's because she's like freaking out because she's like, it is very shoujo like, right? It is very
I don't think
typical teen drama type thing, right? Where it's like, oh
drama.
No, I'm flustered. I overreacted because I'm flustered. Oh, I'm too embarrassed. Oh,
I don't think it's that shoujo like myself. Actually, it is just very cute. Romance, not knowing what to do. Actually, I did find it refreshing, interesting, good for them.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, it was good.
No, for them to not go to the conclusion that they're kissing themselves, right?
Yeah,
they just bumped into each other, and they are not worrying about them kissing each other at all. It's just like, ow, my teeth hurt.
Yeah. That comes later.
Yeah, but then other people make it that they kissed, and now they have to deal with that, and that's way more of a problem than if they actually did or technically yes or no kissed.
Yeah.
It's what other people think of it.
So now we're going to get into the title of the episode. Do you know what the title of the episode is?
Where's my balls?
Yeah, like, where are your balls? I love the titles of the fucking show. Is great. Like, dude, where's my balls? Because he goes to take a piss, and it turns out our boy here, he's lost his balls. He's lost his ding dong. He's cock and no balls.
Just the dongs.
Just the dongs, yeah. It's like, no. Oh no. So he rushes over into the class, and we get another thing where she doesn't want to, like, let on that they're friends and da, and you know, it's she kind of like rejects him because it's a very interesting kind of look into how peer pressure kind of works, because she's reacting like that because she's obviously surrounded by the group, and she's worrying about what the group is going to think, in a sense, right? Maybe not consciously, but unconsciously, right? And so she's reacting in a way to like basically like be like, no, group, I'm not romantically or friendly with this boy thing stuff, right? I'm, you know, relatable, right? You know, relatable stuff is very good. But then he kind of leaves because he's depressed because he thinks she's not, you know, doesn't want to be friends with him anymore. And the group is kind of like, yo, that was fucking cold, dude. That was...
I chose this screenshot, the bottom right one, particularly because even though she says, get out, I don't want to talk to you, what's her expression, Naretsu?
Yeah, she does want to talk to Yeah,
oh no, he's here. I am happy he's here. I have to get him out of here right now, otherwise other people will think I'm happy.
Exactly. Yeah, it's exactly. It's very cute. It's very cute.
Yeah.
It's quite. But so moving along. Now we get introduced to a girl that's in the opening.
Yeah.
Pinky girl. I don't think we know her name yet,
Yeah,
but we know
like Aria.
she's something like that, right? Yeah. So what happens is while our boy is going to leave, he bumps into Pink-haired girl, and Pink-haired girl is being all kind of friendly, like, haha, ooh, your arm is so strong, ooh, ooh, cool, ooh, and touching him and being all like, ooh, aha. And our girl bears witness to this. And then as Pinky Girl is leaving with her friends, she's like, ha, what a fucking nerd. This fucking nerd. He's he's an incel version boy. He's never going to touch a girl again. Ha, look at how happy he is. It's so funny. So basically being a total bitch nog. Be gone, fought! Be gone, fought! And our girl, being the Giga Stacy that she is, I think, because Stacy's like the Chad version for like.
I guess.
I'm not up to date with my fucking incel vernacular. I Stacy's and Chads or whatever, but as the absolute Chad that she is, right? She's like, I'm gonna uses her psychic powers to drop a fucking metal wash tub on Pinky's fucking head, and then grabs our boy and grabs him by the arm and is. I can't remember the exact quote, but it was something along the lines of, yeah, you are really cute. I guess some girls just don't fucking understand you, right?" And is like glaring at Pinky, just fucking as they walk off. And I'm like, yeah.
Like pointing at your own eyes and then the other from, I did this, you. My eyes are on you.
Yeah, you got what you fucking deserved, bitch.
Yeah, but it's kind of, she's kind of marking her territory also because.
Yeah, it's fucking great. Yeah, I love it.
Aria, I believe her name was.
Yeah, something like that.
It's just putting her hand on Okuru's arm, right? That's the extent that she went. What does our Momo do? She just hugs the entire arm.
Yeah, this is mine, bitch. Fucking great. Actually great. And then they like, you know, they get out of school and then they work out the misunderstanding, right? And they have the little cute moment. And then our boy has to drop the news that he's lost his balls. He's got no balls. And then it jump cuts to them back at the grandma's house, and Momo is absolutely losing her shit on the ground, laughing about the fact that he's lost his balls.
You better know that she was laughing the entire way. Also,
she says, "I'm imagining them walking to the house, and she's just non-stop laughing her ass off." And Grandma is like, you see, this is why you should have let me look at them. This is why you should have let me look at your balls.
And Momo laughs even harder at every line of conversation.
So then the show kind of gets, we switch off from high school romance mode, and now we're in actual let's get back to the plot mode, right? Kind of. And so there's something inside him still. There's this little faint. There's a faint little flicker of a evil spirit thing inside him.
Flames, evil.
Yeah,
buttons.
So put your feet in the cold water, and I'm gonna slap you with this paper fan, and we're gonna exercise whatever the fuck is inside you, and Momo's gonna grab it, and we're gonna get this sorted, right?
And
so they do that.
Our OP character, or character in the
Yes. So
but Naretsu,
we take the spirit.
Character?
I'm going to get to that because they rip. Let me finish. Right? They rip the spirit out, and they put the spirit in the cat. Right? They put the spirit in the cat, and the cat runs off, and we have a little chase where we have to catch the cat. And guess who it is, Ellie? Guess who it is? It's Turbo Granny. She's still alive because she managed to possess our boy with the last little bit of strength that she had before she got annihilated by the train wall thing, right? And so Turbo Granny is now a cat granny, I guess. And via the exchange, we find out that Turbo Granny returned the shaft, but the balls are somewhere else. They are not. So Turbo Granny knows where the balls are, but they're not, it's the bargaining chip, right? Because Turbo Granny's like, aha, I'm gonna regain my powers, I'm gonna kill you all, I'm Turbo Granny, rah! But it turns out, Ellie, the powers did not get exercised from our boy. The powers are still inside him. So now he can transform into depression mode man. Speedy depression man.
I don't know.
Now
I am kind of maybe conflicted. Which form is cooler, Naretsu?
I don't know. Well, I think he's gonna get the main, where he gets the mask and the grin and the I think he's gonna get that at some point, right? The Turbo Granny look, right? He's probably gonna get that at some point because I think the power is like weaker now, right? Because
maybe.
So he's like half transformed. He's like half transformed. He's not full transformed, right? He's like in half state. But basically, to TLDR, right? A deal has been struck, right? Turbo Granny will return the balls, and in exchange, the powers will be returned to Turbo Granny, and Turbo Granny won't get fucking annihilated, right? Is basically the deal. Because Momo is like, hey, Turbo Granny, I know you're a bit of a cunt, but you did, treat those girls, protect those girls that had been dismembered and tossed in that tunnel and their souls, right? You were kind, right? You kind of, you maybe you're not all this evil bitch that you claim to be, right? Maybe you're not, and then there's a bit of a moment there, right? There's a little moment, right? So that's pretty much where we kind of ended off, right? We're on, right, we need to go find his balls. So next episode, I think we're going to go on an adventure to find the balls. That's going to be
from uncaring manga spoiling people on the internet. I gathered, Naretsu, that the whole plot of the entire plot of this whole story is getting his balls. This is not
I've heard that too. I've heard that apparently it's going to be a bit of a fucking journey to get his balls back. It's going to be a bit of a interesting.
Yeah, but I am almost more invested in the character drama than the actual battles at this point. That Arya character will be a major character, and I'm very interested in the dynamics that will follow.
Yeah, is there going to be a bit of a love triangle, bit of a rivalry,
so.
bit of a?
I'm more this is OP analysis, alright? Because in the OP, this lucky cat was in the OP, and I always found it suspect, right? And also the ED was never really from, oh look, this is a fun character. It was always like a bit of a sinister vibe, because the character was never really happy, and some, got hit in the face and whatnot. So the story apparently had no qualms about harming this character. Second part is, Naretsu, that in the OP, back to the OP, this character appears with our pink-haired girl Aria. The cat appears with pink-haired Aria. We know Turbo Granny is the cat. No, yes. Aria is mean at the least. We don't know the guy, but I suspect they are villains, all three of them.
Maybe the villains are going to become friendly. Maybe,
maybe, but they'll all be antagonistic. I don't think they'll ever, because Granny is not, actively trying to kill them now. But I don't think Granny will do them a favor. In the same way, when Momo or Okurun wants something from Aria, I don't think she'll be inclined to just do it. There will be maybe some psychic ghost battle, or maybe a social conflict of some kind. I don't think they'll be, on friendly sharing terms. She gets one of the balls, both of them, one of them. I don't think she'll give it back right away. Also, I'm very certain that the balls are golden balls somewhere, because that's
that's OP. Been shown. That's
and
the ED as well. OP and the ED.
Yeah, so I don't. Yeah, and it's a Japanese thing. Kintama is golden balls, means balls, etc. The testes.
So yeah, we will see. We will see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting. I'm definitely definitely keen to see where it goes. Very interesting show. Who could and that's the other thing. The aliens haven't shown up in a little bit, so I'm thinking the next episode we're going to see some aliens show back up.
Maybe.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens. So anyway, I reckon we're pretty much done. I think we've had a good time.
This was another small theory. From the OP, right? I feel like that the girl or Aria character will be more affiliated with aliens, and the guy on the other side is more affiliated with ghosts, just because when the last shots of the OP, when the UFO pulls them all up into the sky, the girl is very, I know what's going on. The guy has to turn and look up, unsure what's going on. That's the only reason of my vibe of putting them in these categories. I do a lot of big thinking.
Yeah, big thinking today. Yeah, big thinking on the cast. Yeah, big philosophy. So anyway, we will catch you guys next week for some more fun times.
Maybe I'll spoil it right now. No, next week, because I'll be on the island.
Oh no! On the island next week? No. Oh well, we'll be back in a few weeks then.
Or maybe
we'll be back in a few weeks. Maybe I'll use that time to make some clips or something. I'll do something to I gotta get around to it. So anyway, we will catch you guys next time.
Later.
Bye.